Bitcoin is up. The crypto markets are in the green, and you are in the place to be. Today, Virtual Blockchain Week brings you crypto OG Charlie Shrem, crypto analyst Anthony Pompliano, and Justin Sun, the creator of Tron. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. Tell your friends, tell your family, and tell your dog, because this is Virtual Blockchain Week, Day 6. I say it was, Travis?
I think you said it was day 6.
Day 6. There is a day 6 technically, I suppose, but this is not it. This is day 4.
Day 17.
Yeah. I took a nap this afternoon before, and I woke up 20 minutes ago because this is just, it's an exhausting week. People don't realize how much work it is to do all this. And I'm like, I think I got everything in place. I even wrote down day 4 when I read it, but apparently it's day 6. Welcome to Virtual Blockchain Week. I'm Joel Comm.
I'm Travis Wright. And this is day 4, 5, or 6. One of them.
It's day something or other, and welcome.
Well, it is confusing because we had Sunday, which was the pre-day, which was, we are having 7 days of events, but really just 5 days of main content. So it is a little confusing. We had the pre-party thing on Sunday. On Saturday, we have the Blockchain Influencer Awards. You're going to want to tune in for those as well. And then tomorrow night, we got a big fun after party thing. So
understanding of you, Travis, to understand that I don't know what day it is, but we're glad that you're here. Please share, start watch parties, tell your friends, retweet, do all that stuff, and make sure that you thank our sponsors. If you go to the virtualblockchainweek.com page, you'll see a blue button up at the top that says sponsors. Click it. All kinds of offers and information that are exclusive to this event, including some free cryptos. Our lead title sponsor is CryptoMaticATM. And thanks to them, this thing is happening. You can start your own business earning passive income. You know what that is? That's money you make while you're awake, while you're asleep, while you're eating, while you're watching TV, while you're in the bathroom. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It's passive. It's making it on its own. And you do it by placing your own crypto ATM built for public use. As cryptocurrencies are quickly becoming part of the world's everyday life, it's creating demand for convenient solutions to exchange between cryptos and cash. The demand is definitely going up. Now, CryptoMaticATM is giving away 2 of these. We were going to give away one last night. We had a technical difficulty with the randomizer, so we'll actually be joined by Joff Paradise tonight after the closing keynote with Justin Sun. And Travis, how can they win one of these?
Well, you got to be registered, right? So if you're watching this on a stream and you just happen to come across it, you think, wow, cool, I'm going to sit and watch it. That's totally fine. You can do that, but you have 0 chance of winning. And so if you want to win some of the cool rewards and the awards and cool things given away, you're going to want to go to virtualblockchainweek.com/register. or just go to virtualblockchain.com, click the little register button on there, and go ahead and register, because that's what you got to do.
Click all the buttons, just randomly go like that. And
I got a question, Mr. Joe Comp. So what
Yes,
is
sir.
the opposite of passive income?
Active income.
Oh, so yeah,
Means
active.
it means you're actively working to get stuff done. Also want to give a shout out to Cointelegraph. They are our media partner that are covering the event, and they're the leading independent digital media resource that covers a wide range of news on blockchain tech, crypto assets, and emerging fintech trends. Each day, their team delivers the most accurate and up-to-date news from the decentralized and decentralized worlds. Cointelegraph.com. Right now, Travis, we are active. We're making active income. We're having to sing for our supper.
I'm not doing that until tomorrow. I might sing a song at the after party.
Well, you know what? We're going to jump right in. We've got our first guest ready here. They are the pregame show to bring some great content as we get ready for our opening keynote here just after 7:00 Eastern. And
did you ever watch that show, Extreme Makeover Home Edition?
I don't know that I did, but I think we're about to see one of the
I recall watching that show. It was really cool. They would go and sometimes they could like rebuild a whole home and just like take a home, like this home is just this cruddy home. They'd tear it down, build a brand new home, and it was just amazing. And then they would come in and style it all up. And it was a really cool show, very nice premise of the show. You'd have a cruddy home, and then all of a sudden, about a week later, you had an amazing home.
Boom. Like that. It's super magical the way that makes it happen. Well, Tracey Hudson is her name, and she's an actress, an interior designer, an author, and a philanthropist. She's known for being the style consultant and designer of the Emmy Award-winning TV show Extreme Makeover Home Edition. I feel like my mind needs an extreme makeover today. She's also a co-founder that is launching an innovative platform. It's a VR and social commerce platform called Verse. And I want to make sure that I bring the right person in here, because in the Zoom waiting rooms, it's hard to tell sometimes who the names are. Travis, go ahead and give a shout out to one of the sponsors here while I do a quick check on this.
Yeah. So Verse is connecting the virtual universe through social commerce. And it's a platform that allows users to use VR, 3D, and blockchain. It's pretty fancy, and which allows people to virtually recreate their lives online and interact with other people, places, and brands. So maybe you just sort of like Minecraft, you remake your own place where you live, but then in that world, you're actually able to go places.
Excellent. Well, we've got her with us now. Tracey Hudson, welcome to Virtual Blockchain Week. Hi, Tracey.
Hi. Hello.
How you doing?
Hi. It's good. Yeah. Whatever. It's a loaded question. How are you?
That's kind of like we're all like that right now. Whatever. It's all good. It could be worse.
It could be worse. I'm healthy. My kids are healthy. Same. Just trying to do the homeschool at home. But I'm happy to be here with you guys today.
Awesome. Well, tell us all about what you guys are working on.
Yes, so I am working with a company. It's Verse, and let me tell you a little bit about myself and why this was so exciting for me. I am an interior designer. I live here in Los Angeles. Been in the business a long time, so obviously I'm seeing the trend of using technology in my industry and how to make it fun and exciting as well. So the idea of Verse is it's a social platform that you can go on. First of all, Verse is a phone, a very cool phone, an Android, and it's really amazing 3D camera. So at first, that's what really drew me to this project. And then seeing this this networking site that they have. So if you go to verse.com, you can request a download, and right now it is available on Android. And there you go. Now you can get a visual of sort of what I'm talking about here. So this is an example of what an interior might look like in your space. And again, bringing in the interior design portion of this and socializing. You can invite your friends over. You can have your whole own network and how to show off your space. But what really excited me about this, and as we're progressing with how the site is looking and coming together, is that you can purchase pieces of furniture home goods, things of that nature, clothing, fashion, all of these things with our currency, which
I
is.
think I know her.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to know that babe right there? So yeah, you can clearly customize what you want what you want to look like, what you want your home to look like. But the idea of actually testing out furniture in your virtual space before you purchase it for real, to me, is, I mean, that's a game changer. That's what my clients want to do. You know, they're all pretty picky. I mean, not that I don't love my clients, but the idea of seeing something in a virtual space before you pull the trigger and purchase it, it's revolutionary. It's so exciting and it's fun.
Yeah. So can you like sort of set up your home? Like, are you able to scan your home or something and then be like, oh, what would my home look like with that couch? What would my home look like with that picture? Is that kind of the principle?
That's where we will end up, is being able to customize for your own particular space. But right now we just have 2 or 3 different versions of what your dream world would be like. The loft that you just saw in that last clip is sort of the more elevated residence. And then there's an apartment version. But if you do go back where you could see the brownstones to your neighborhood, I mean, it's as big as if you want to buy a whole building, basically, and how big you want your network to be and how you can find your friends through this platform and invite them over. That's what I'm really excited to do.
That's cool. That's a great way to sort of visualize your dream home. Like, what would you want your dream home to look like? I want to have this. I want to have a pool. I want to walk in over here to the right. I want a big library that smells like mahogany.
Don't put the sofa there. The sofa's facing the wrong way. It's under the TV. That doesn't make any sense.
We need to move around. But I like where you're headed. You're my kind of people. Dream big. But
yeah. Now, is this sort of a thing? Like, I mean, because this seems to me like this could be really cool to like partner with IKEA or partner with Wayfair or something, and then get their actual products to play around with, and then be able to buy them and get them shipped to your own home.
Ding, ding, ding. Exactly. That's exactly right. Pairing up with these brands right now is where we're headed. That's what we're in development right now, and reaching out to these brands. And obviously they're just as excited. And clearly we're all in a very challenging time. So the showrooms that I'm used to shopping in and being able to just walk into these stores doesn't really exist right now. So the idea of being able to get an idea of what this would look like in a space and then buying it, exactly, partnering with these brands is where it's at.
It's like Sims on steroids, kind of.
There you go. Yeah. We're like, this is the new way for sure. And even the artwork, as you can see on the walls, that can all be customized. You can put pictures up. You can play things on your television in your space, which I think is really cool. It just
and look, the streets are empty, just like now.
Yeah, exactly. So sad. It's so true.
Is this going to be available on like the Oculus Quest or some of those things to be able to go into the real world? Because right now it says it's only available on Android, and that's, I guess we're going to be looking on our phone. What other platforms is this going to be coming out on?
Well, that's we're just, again, sort of launching. We're in the pre-launch stage right now. So it is only available with the Android, but we are working to get it. It will. I mean, that's overall what the goal is for it.
You're going to see to it. You're going to make sure that happens, because this, in VR, walking through it all really gives that sense of space.
I know VR is so fun. That's where it's at. So I definitely think that, that's, you'll just have to check back in with us. But all of these fun pieces here, and adding more and more inventory to our site as we're progressing. And if you, as part of our platform, a verse player, if you will, if you have an idea or a piece of furniture that you really love that we don't have in our shopping area right now, then you can let us know and we can start adding it too. We want to hear from,
I want a hand chair, one like that.
I love those. Yeah. All right. Do you want me to add one for you?
Add a big pink furry hand chair.
Yeah.
Oh, pink and furry too. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I just want to know, so if I have a really cruddy verse house, can I have you and Ty Pennington come and fix it?
No problem. Yeah. Well,
This
I
is
want to say
awesome.
I think you're ageless. You look exactly the same from when you were on that show.
aw, love that. My new best friend. I'll take that compliment because that's not the case. My kids might see differently.
Right. That's funny.
Tracy, where do people go to check this out themselves?
So you would go to verse.com and
BIRSE.
yes, BIRSE.com, and then just request a download. And if you have an Android, then you're up and running.
What's this phone thing? If I go to the site right now, it talks about this platinum, create a virtual universe, $2,000 for a platinum something. What is that all about?
So our currency is the Ver currency, which is where we're leading into the blockchain, obviously, which is why we're part of the same community. But with our currency, that's how you're able to acquire these pieces that we're talking about. So, and you're secure and protected.
And a new gold. You got all kinds of cool phones. It's interesting stuff. It's a cool project
Tracy,
you have.
thanks so much for coming and sharing with us. And we're going to encourage people to go hit the sponsor page where they'll see. In fact, I'll show them in a moment. And we wish you the best with it.
Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers. Take care.
Bye.
I'm going to pull up that sponsor page here, Mr. Travis Wright, and give everybody a good eyeful of this. So if you go to virtualblockchainweek.com and click sponsors up at the top, you'll see all of our sponsors and products and services featured, and scroll down the page and you will discover there's Verse right there. Request the download. And if you can go and do that, make sure you support all the sponsors. That would be super awesomeness in multicolors.
It would be. And so you kind of want to share like this?
Like what? Like
the one I'm sharing on my screen? Oh, I'm not sharing it yet. Oh, here it is. Now it's sharing. Boom. There you go.
Yes, only pink.
Looks sort of very Muppety. Very good.
Oh my gosh. Moving right along. We have a guest who is also a friend of ours, works at Brave. Brave is the first global digital I can say that. Maybe you can say that. I don't know. Brave is the first global digital ad platform built for privacy, offering advertisers the opportunity to participate in a premium, brand-safe, fraud-free, and opt-in ad ecosystem designed for the cookieless future of the internet. I can't imagine a future without cookies. Oh, no, tracking cookies. Yeah, tracking cookies. Their browser is it, gang. Both Travis and I use
smoking fast. I mean, one thing that's so great about it is that, man, it's not calling all that JavaScript, all those privacy things that slows your website down. So if you're using the Brave on your mobile, you're getting about twice as fast of an experience on your mobile device than otherwise.
Well, we have with us Mr. Donnie Devoren from Brave. Hey, Donnie, how are you? Hey,
Joel. Hey, Travis. Good to see you guys.
Great to see you, buddy.
You understand you've got a short presentation today, right?
Yeah. What I put together is basically I want to kind of talk to three different audiences, if you will. I'm going to talk to everybody as a user that could possibly use Brave and in their world for either work or pleasure. I'm going to talk about advertisers and all of the different advertising things that we can do. I'm also going to talk about publishers and creators and why it makes sense on that side of the house. If you have a YouTube channel or a Twitch account, what you can do with Brave as well.
Go for it, man. Do you have some slides you want to show?
I do, and I'm just going to turn my screen share on right now and go to presentation mode. All right, so in your intro, you were talking about, Brave is for a privacy world, and we all know that there's big tech out there, and they don't always respect our privacy. There's a good example where some guy was trying to buy an engagement ring back in 2007, and that was broadcast across the internet before he even engaged. And we have things like Cambridge Analytica. We have GDPR in the UK and Europe. We have CCPA in California. And we're moving into this area of like the age of surveillance capitalism. There's this book by Shoshana Zuboff, and she talks about how we're constantly being tracked. And as you were also saying, the cookie is going away. So Chrome is removing cookies to also protect users' privacy. And at the end of the day, user privacy really matters. And I'm sometimes in awe that Brave was founded 5 years ago. And Brendan Eich, our founder and CEO, had the foresight to think that privacy would be such a big deal today. And it really is. So now I'm going to get a little bit into Brave. So it's a browser. It's a browser that protects your privacy, that it's cookieless. So it's like 2 years ahead of Chrome, and you're anonymous when you use it. None of your data is going back to big tech, and Brave doesn't see any of the data that you see that you're using. And it's founded by Brendan Eich, like I mentioned. Brendan actually created JavaScript in 1995. He was the co-founder of Mozilla and Firefox, and then he founded Brave. And so now I want to talk to everybody as a user. So like, why would you use Brave out there? Like, oh, I use Chrome. That's fine. Well, Chrome doesn't necessarily respect your privacy. And you will notice immediately when you use the browser that it's extremely fast, because we basically take out all the ad trackers. And when you take out all that kind of garbage, you have a very, very fast internet. And this is just a great explanation of what I mean by fast. Like on the left, you'll see the Brave browser loading, and it's going to load before I even finish the sentence. But we don't have enough time for Firefox and for Chrome to even load. And at the end of the day, it's 3 to 6 times faster. So that's, one of the, few different reasons that you should use Brave as a user. It's super private. It's really fast. You'll save on, data on your phone. It's available on all platforms, Android and iPhone and Mac computers and PCs, etc. And you won't be the only ones using it. There's 13.5 million monthly active users using Brave every month. We're growing by 1 million users a month. So that's kind of like the short bit on from a user perspective. Now I'm going to talk to you as an advertiser. Like, what are the benefits of advertising is that you can actually opt in to advertising. And let's say you're on Car and Driver, very clean experience, no ads on the right side. And our first ad unit is a push notification, as you see with Toyota right there. And you click on that Toyota ad unit and you're taken to a landing page. And this is really where we bring in the, the currency, the utility token part of what we're doing. And obviously the blockchain is that users get rewarded for their attention. So 70% of the ad dollars that advertisers spend with us go to all the people that are using the browser. So from a user perspective, you can make, $4 to $8 a month just by, using the browser and getting paid for your attention. And users have control. They can control how many ads that they want to see an hour. Do you want to see 1 ad an hour, 5 ads an hour? And now I'll start talking about it from a creator standpoint. So let's say you have a YouTube channel like Phil DeFranco over here, or you have a Twitch channel, or a publisher, just like a regular website. You can verify your website so that you can start collecting these utility tokens, basic attention token, and then use them on a bunch of things. You can convert them to fiat, to US dollars if you're in the US, or you can convert them to a gift card and do whatever you want with it. And so what would happen is, if you're on a YouTube site, you click this little triangle over here, and you can tip Phil DeFranco. And I want to say, great, I want to give him 5 bats, and then it's going to go right into his account. And from a publisher and creator perspective, just like there's 13.5 million users using Brave, there are 600,000 channels that have basically verified to accept BAT as a currency here. And you can see there's 350,000 YouTubers and 64,000 Twitter channels. You can go to bat.watch to see all of them. And to go back into the advertising, we also launched this about 2 months ago. This is our sponsored image. So whenever you click new tab, you would see this sponsored image. And we've had a lot of crypto advertising companies run with us, like BlockFi, eToro, Crypto.com. And I want to talk about one more unit before I finish out here. Is on the right side of the page, you'll see this Binance widget. We actually just launched this today on the main Brave browser. And this allows you to actually go in and buy crypto right from the new tab page. So it's like an OAuth or an API integration, and you can buy ETH, you can buy Bitcoin, you can buy a lot of different currencies right here. We'll eventually launch different stock trading units as well. And then I just have a bunch of examples of mainstream advertisers for the sponsored image here. And I'll basically finish out by saying, we have very amazing targeting that I can get very technical, uses zero knowledge proof and blind tokens to anonymously record conversions. But at the end of the day, these units that I'm sharing with you, they perform. They've like really, really high click-through rates, and we have a whole advertiser dashboard. But let me stop there, and happy to chat with you guys and have you guys ask questions.
It's great stuff, Donnie. Like I say, I'm a big fan of Brave. I love earning basic attention tokens. While I'm browsing, I use it on my PC desktop, on my MacBook, and on my iPhone.
Awesome.
I do the same. I think I found, so you said Brave's been around for 5 years. I think I found the mobile app maybe 3 years ago or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Brendan started, founded the company 5 years ago. You're right. The browser launched 3 years ago, and we just this week celebrated our 1-year anniversary for all the advertising products.
Oh, happy anniversary. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of those things you look at and you say, man, the CEO, Brandon, he was he invented JavaScript and was like the lead developer at Netscape, and then went and created Firefox, and then Brave. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, Donnie. We appreciate you coming on, brother. We'll keep our eyes on what's happening next for Brave.
Sounds good. See you guys soon. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you.
Yep,
Take
bye-bye.
care. Make sure you download Brave, guys. There's no reason not to. Go to vbw20.com/sponsors, and you will find the link right there. I think we've got it set up where when you download through our link, you get some basic attention token automatically, and we get some as well. So everybody wins.
Great
Travis,
stuff.
yesterday we saw Bitcoin hit, I think, almost 9,200. I mean, really went on a run. And just here on CoinGecko.com, they're the analytics platform for tracking cryptos and blockchain assets. Established in April 2014, one of the largest crypto asset data aggregators in the world. It's CoinGecko.
You got it to what, 9,200 and then drop back down a little bit?
Yeah, it's about 8,700 right now. It bounces back up to 88, and back and forth.
Crypto goes up, crypto goes down. We know that.
Why don't you share about Zoom?
Yeah, Zoom is a really interesting project. You can check out Zoom on for all the social interaction going on for VBW 2020. Go check it out. vbw20.com/social. Zoom is a really cool platform for social intelligence and sponsorship measurement and evaluation. And as you can see, you'll see these a lot of times at real world conferences on a TV display somewhere around, and really cool. So the more you interact with the hashtag VBW2020, the higher you will rank on the influencer board right there. It looks like Theta TV is killing it right now. Rachel
Theta
Wilson
is killing it. Yeah.
is number 2.
Yeah. There is a social button on the webpage of virtualblockchainweek.com, and it'll let you see these social posts as they're scrolling by and being added. So if you tweet, Instagram, post somewhere and use the hashtag VBW2020, take a picture of your favorite speaker as they're on screen, or maybe even a short video, post those, and then you can show up here on this page. That would be pretty super awesome, fancy schmancy. Also, we're streaming a lot of different places, gang, and we want to give a shout out to our friends at La Token. They're live streaming this on their page at vbw20.com/La Token. It's LA Token is where you're going to find that. And Travis, talk about this last one while I pull up their site here real quick.
Yeah, remember yesterday we had the fine folks from Cred come on. We had Jody Rich, and then we also had some other folks there from OpenSea talking about NFTs, and Cred is one of our sponsors, and you can create a .cred domain and link it to any social account or website like a .com and your digital wallet. Like, for example, Joel.cred is a place that has all of Joel's information on there. So you can find influencers and import and score and engage your most influential contacts. They have a Cred influencer CRM, which is really cool. And so you can register your digital assets on the blockchain as well as NFTs, create custom NFTs, which are those non-fungible tokens, those digital collectibles, and share and engage your community. And then go visit our sponsors page right now, vbw20.com/sponsors, or just go to the webpage and then click on the sponsors button, show them some love, click on their site, check out the deals they got for you, because we got a lot of cool stuff going there.
The big blue button is a place to check it out. Hey, Travis, we got such a packed day today. We're going to be hearing from Charlie Shrem soon. Chris Snook is going to be joining us today. Pomp is going to be here. Jen Greyson. We've got Ryan Rodden, and we're going to close out the evening with Justin Sun from Tron. But right now, it's llama time.
Llama, tell your mama.
Llama, tell your mama. We have with us Dirk Lewith, who is the CEO of Upland.me, a blockchain-based mobile game that we are both big fans of. And Dirk, welcome to Virtual Blockchain Week, probably connecting to us all the way from Germany, I'm thinking, if he's there. I know he's going to bring his German accent at the very least.
Well, I try. Let's see. Okay.
There you are.
Yeah,
oh,
here
yeah.
I am. All right. So
Take
what's
it
the
away,
name
Dirk.
of this guy?
Very
All
nice.
right. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Dirk. Yeah, I cannot hide my accent. It's just going to be there, even though I live 11 years now in California. But, well, how you learn it, you never get it away. Yeah, so I'm one of the co-founders of Upland, which is a property trading game, how we call it. And happy to have Joel and Travis also in the game. And I'm going to quickly show you what the game is about, and maybe also run through a quick demo, live demo here as well. So I hope you all can see my screen right now. Joel's offline. Okay.
Yep. Nope. Looks good. Go ahead and hit the view slideshow.
Okay. Now, and I'm going to show you how it works. So Upland, property trading game, like this famous board game. And the way it works is everything is based on real-world addresses currently in San Francisco. And as you can see here, it's basically buying, selling, and trading or flipping properties. How can you get started in the game? It's very simple. First, you buy a property. You zoom in into a map, like with much Google Map. You find the property you want to buy. It's the real-world borders, and then you can buy it. And of course, we put it on the blockchain. So it's truly yours. Once you have collected your first property, you can start completing collections, like 3 properties in 1 street. Then actually you increase your earnings because you earn UPEX in our game, which is our in-game cryptocurrency. Then you can also go on treasure hunting, and you find a lot of nice treasures. Once you found the treasure, you can play Piñata, which you have to tap your phone without destroying it very quickly. So, and then the more you tap, the more money you get out. So there's a lot of action going on in the game. And of course, you can cash out. You can, in terms of UPEX right now, but in the future, we'll also be able to cash out in fiat currency. What's coming now with our May release called Martini, we're all about drinks, is a riot mode, which is a very specific treasure hunt type of game. And we have even more coming, So for instance, right now, everyone is on his own, but we want people to form and join squads. So that's going to be super exciting, where people can group together and, be faster than others. So if you want to play it, and we have, as you can see down there, there's a small link called on the where you get a double sign-up bonus for Upland. Normally, the sign-up bonus 1,000 up equals about roughly $3. But when you use that link down there, it's also in the agenda from the Virtual Blockchain Week. You get actually 6,000 UPEX as a starting point. Let me quickly jump into it. So this is how it looks. You see this map here. You can zoom in, and what you get is this little what we call Block Explorer. This is a little game piece you have, and when you sign up for the first time, and this is just just as a trial version also for myself. I can see it wanders here. It wanders through the city, and it roams randomly San Francisco, and it touches properties which I'm able to buy. Today, we actually, as I said, we are only open in San Francisco at the moment. However, what we have also done is we've opened up the airport, the San Francisco airport, SFO. You see a couple of people roaming around there, because the reason we did that is because we will soon open up New York. And when I go zoom out here all the way, and I go over all the way to New York is not open yet, but what we did today is we opened up JFK, the airport, and you can go and purchase a property there. And if I go in there, and I think I've seen Joel there. Joel, are you there? I guess so. Because the reason is when you play, oops, no, I lost it.
Yeah, I am actually hovering around JFK.
Yeah. Okay. Where is he? There he is. Here. That's Joel, right? So if I can click on in here, you see him.
Actually, I'm not seeing the block explorer on there. I'm seeing, or it might just be a little delay. There we go.
Oh,
now I see me.
Okay. There you are. Okay. So that's our Joel, right? Who completed lots of collections, 3 times 5, 15 collections already. So you're missing some. And going forward, we'll open up New York, and then you can purchase properties over there as well. So that's what we do. And we have lots of things coming up going forward. As I mentioned, you can use Upland cross-platform. You can use your web browser. You can use iOS and Android app downloaded there. What's also possible using credit card and PayPal is money in and crypto. And as I mentioned, soon we're going to announce that we also will have fiat out. So that's
good job, Dirk.
how it works.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
Quick.
It's really one of the most creative blockchain games that we've seen out there, and it works on both iOS and Android. And rather than have to remember the long link Dirk sent with you, if you go to our sponsors page and go to look for Upland on there, just click that. It'll take you right there, and you'll get some bonus UPX tokens for going through that link.
Yeah. So that's basically the idea, exactly. So come on and join through that link, get your first UPX, get your first properties, complete a collection, because when you complete a collection, you boost your earnings. And you have to see, we have a lot of gamified elements in the game, like those treasure hunts, live events. So May 4th is coming up, as you know, it's May 4th be with you. The 4th. Okay, now my accent's coming in here. And going forward, I mean, the vision we have is actually that we want people to develop their properties, that they can even run full businesses in it. So, ideas which we have is, maybe you want to run a nursery, you want to run a maybe virtual art gallery. All these things are coming up in the coming months, and it's going to be very exciting for everyone.
That's great. I have a question, because one of the challenges that I've always had is like trying to complete those collections is I don't always know where some of those areas are. It's like, oh, complete the sunset collection. And I'm like, well, where is that? And then is there a way to or is it coming so I could say, oh, where is this collection? So we could put a block around it so I could see where those are, so I would know which properties I would need to buy?
No, it's already there. What you need to do is in the app, there's a little compass sign on the side, Travis, and then there's a pin. And when you click that pin, you see all the borders of the.
Okay. I've never seen that before. That's really handy.
Some days ago, so you see that.
Yeah,
this is really fun.
I see Travis floating around San Francisco right there. There he is.
Looking for a good place to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, so the thing is, we might see, so what I said, you need to collect UPX when you have actually 10,000 UPX, because you need to accumulate 10,000 UPX to become an uplander. Before that, you're only a visitor, so it's free to play, but you need to renew your visa every 7 days.
So if you do not have 10,000 UPX, you're an illegal immigrant.
Kind of, yeah.
You're a visitor. You're an undocumented Uplandian. Hey, last question, Dirk. Yeah. The llama, he's got a name. Tell us about him.
Yeah, the name is Miles B. Chain. So we just love it. It's our hero. And as you can see, I even have a shirt, and there will be more merch coming out in the next.
I want a shirt. Where's my shirt?
I want a little stuffed animal.
Hey guys, I gave you one in New York.
I didn't get a shirt.
Nope, neither did I.
No, I don't think so. I need to go look through my pile of stuff I've picked up at events. I might end up biting my tongue on that.
I would totally put Miles B. Chain on my stack in my bookcase with all my cool little things that I've got. He'd totally be cool to have there.
You get your shirt for sure. And we're going to have plush here. You see that here? So that's coming also, see that?
Oh,
that's exactly what I want, that.
That's the one.
Plush animals.
Go to the sponsors page at virtualblockchainweek.com, click sponsors, and scroll down till you see Miles, the llama, right here, and click this link to get double UPX when you sign up. Dirk, thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much for having me. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Dirk. Double UPX.
For the double llama. UPX. Do it for the llama.
Save the drama for your llama.
Llama. All right. Okay.
All right. Hey, Trav, we've got our opening keynote waiting here in the wings. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody all about them?
Right on. So we had a great pleasure to chat with him a couple days ago. He's a super duper old school crypto OG. Charlie Shrem is an American entrepreneur and Bitcoin advocate. 2011, he co-founded the now defunct startup company BitInstant and is a founding member of the Bitcoin Foundation, formerly serving as the vice chairman. In December of 2014, he was sentenced to 2 years in prison for aiding and abetting the operation of an unlicensed money transmitting business related to Silk Road Marketplace. He was released in June 2016. In 2017, he joined Jax as its director of business and community development. Later that year, he founded the crypto advisory group Crypto IQ. He also hosts his own podcast, which Joel and I were on the other day, called Untold Stories. And very good. And here he is, Mr. Charlie Shrem.
I'm here. I made it. It's good to be here.
To tell the story.
I feel like I just spoke to you guys like yesterday.
Well, 2 days ago, actually. Yeah. When does that episode come out?
Whenever in a week or two, I think.
Excellent.
I think, though, I was sitting this way.
But you did warn us. You said that anytime you get interviewed after 10 a.m. is after you've eaten, it's no good. So we're concerned.
Yeah, this is like late in the day, and it's been a crazy day. And I'm lucky that I had a lot of things to do today. I was driving around and everything. So it kept me, in a level head all day.
Well, Charlie, where in the world are we in the blockchain space now? Because you've been watching this from the beginning, and we're going to look back at this time, 2020, and we're going to be able to chart it and say, oh, that was when happened. And I'm not talking about the virus, but the catalyst for what came next. So, you were visionary to be there in the beginning. Where in the world are we now?
Well, I mean, it's kind of crazy that we have a halving during coronavirus, because it was such a black swan event, and economists can kind of take black swan events and put them in there and see how they would affect But to throw that in there with the Bitcoin halving when the supply is being cut in half, if you look at it, all of a sudden you have. I was just thinking about this the other day. We have $2 trillion of money printed in the United States. Right? People are starting to get all that money. Also, all these people are getting their unemployment benefits probably when they're about to go back to work anyways, and they haven't been needing to spend much money while they're sitting at home for the past, few months. I'm not talking about, below poverty line. I'm talking about like a large segment of people here. And then you have the halving where the selling pressure cuts in half all of a sudden at the end of next week. So you have miners and mining companies. A lot of the miners are amazing people and they mine for the future. But they also have costs and they have to sell. A lot of individual miners are mining. You have a lot of, so all of a sudden that pressure is cutting in half. And now all this money. What do you think is going to happen?
Bitcoin's going to go up.
It looks like just from the past few days with bullishness, but who knows? I mean, who knows? Just I try to look at where the world is and where it's going to be.
It's really hard to predict. I mean, because it's one of the things now that the Federal Reserve and the U.S. government are printing out. We've heard 2 trillion. We've heard as much as 7 trillion. And so when that much money goes into circulation, it would seem to me that the price of Bitcoin should go up. The price of gold should go up. The stock market should go down. It's because it's just so weird. Like we're just putting all this money in. And
what you said is very important, and that's the way you have to look at it. It's not that the price of Bitcoin's going up; it's that the value of Bitcoin relative to the dollar is going up. So the value of the dollar is going down, and the value of Bitcoin is staying the same, and therefore, then the value of Bitcoin has to go up according to the dollar. So it's the people that are holding dollars that are ones that are getting screwed by this scenario. The ones that are holding Bitcoin now have double the purchasing power, assuming the price doubles or whatever.
But then the stock market hasn't gone down that much, relatively speaking. They're actually saying that the stock market in April was one of the best months ever.
The stock market is a way for the governments to as a metric that they can manipulate to let the people think that everything is okay. It's a very manipulatable. I don't own any stocks for that reason. The stock market, I don't have faith in it. You're telling me that half the country doesn't have a job, but the stock market is making all-time highs. How is that something that we could, correlate to how our economy is actually doing in the real
Well,
world.
it's not now. I mean, it fell from almost 30,000 to under 20, right? The Dow, and now it's back to what, about 24,000. So you still, if you were in the stock market at the high, you still, have lost your ass on paper.
True.
But that's not true with Bitcoin or with precious metals. I mean, Bitcoin, if you had invested at the same time stock market was at 30, you'd be in the black right now. You'd have a profit.
Yep. 100%.
But Charlie, you say you're not in stocks because the market is manipulated. Are you saying there isn't manipulation in the crypto markets? Because, there's this talk about the whales and exchanges and
Of course
how
there
they can
is.
move markets.
Of course there is. But let me ask you a question. If someone calls you up that's not in the crypto market, what is the first thing you tell them when they want to get in? It's high risk. It's crazy. It's volatile. One day the thing could be double. One day it could be half. It's crazy. Don't call me. That's what I say to people. With the stock market, if you call up your uncle or your friend or your grandmother and you say, what do you think about the stock market? They're not going to say it's manipulated. They're not going to say, if you call up your investment analysis, your investment advisor, they have to tell you that it's a risky investment.
Grandma will be like, oh, I like that Elon Musk fella.
Exactly.
You should buy some of that Tesla.
So the difference is in
Telsa.
understanding people getting involved in crypto versus people buying into the stock market.
Yeah, it's such a wild, it is, man. It's one of those wild times. So what are you, how are you sort of handling this? I mean, because, we know the stock market, you're not dealing with the stock market. The price of Bitcoin right now has gone up. It went over 9,000. Now it's down. So you just sort of as your own on how you handle this. Do you just hodl, or do you pull out some fiat? Do you buy more? What is the approach that you normally take in scenarios like this?
I did house arrest for a year and a half. And when you do house arrest, you have to, my wife and I had to adjust to, eating at home more often, ordering in more food, not being able to go out, how to work out at home, all the things that everyone's been doing for the past few weeks or few months, depending.
Yeah, because I've been on house arrest for the last month and a half. Yeah,
same thing. And so we when this first happened, we went into full house arrest mode. And then, but the anxiety came as well. So we realized that was the wrong attitude to take. You can't look at it as you're being stuck at home. Luckily here in Florida, it's beautiful every day. So you can be out, you can walk around, you walk your dog, you can just be out and about. People here, actually, I've never met so many anti-vaxxers in my whole life, but there are people here that really think that COVID can get killed by heat instantly or whatever. You hear things like that all the time. But other than that, everyone's having a good time walking around. I've been very surprised with social distancing. It's really working in terms of the average Joe not kind of get in your face when you're walking down the hallway. So if you notice yourself, if you go to the grocery store, out on the street, people are taking care to walk around other people. So that is nice to see.
We're never going to touch people again, are we?
Here in the apartment that I live in, I walked into the elevator yesterday and they actually taped off the four corners with 4 boxes to tell people stand in one of these corners. And I thought, you have got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't want to get in the elevator because somebody else is in there, just don't get in. But don't tell me I have to go stand in a corner.
It's like in jail, you have something called 10-minute moves. So basically, wherever you are, that's where you have to stay for the next 50 minutes. And then at the 10 minutes before the hour, you can move to your next spot. So if you're in the lunchroom and you want to go to the gym, so it's kind of social distancing in that respect. That's kind of what it reminds me of with all these tape on the floor that you have to follow certain things.
But I'm thinking, I'm an adult. I know to keep distant. You don't need to put this thing on the floor and say, stand here.
Do you notice a lot of people, though, are reacting to that and really pushing back? Do you notice a lot of you're already seeing some countries' courts? I saw in Israel, their Supreme Court blocked contact tracing through an app that Australia has already rolled out. So that at least is good to see some countries and places locally here. And you have places like New York where they love the government up there. They love the big brother. That's crazy. But you have places that don't, and that are more for personal liberty and freedom. And those people are pushing back and saying, we need to do a safe approach to like reopening the world, but at the same time, make sure that everyone stays healthy and safe.
You had to realize somebody was like, oh my God, there's a great opportunity in making these 6 feet away stickers.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. I was at Chipotle, and there's a little outside Chipotle. Here they are, a little six feet away stickers at the gas stations.
Yeah, it's the worst.
6 feet away stickers. So somebody's made a ton of money by selling these little 6 feet away stickers.
What do you do? I'm the 6 feet away sticker guy.
You might have seen my work at the local Quick Trip. So tell us a little bit about the cryptocurrency advisory group you've created, Crypto IQ. What's that all about? How's that working, and what's going on here during the COVID era?
It's actually really nice because a lot of people were stuck at home and needed a way to make money. So with Crypto IQ, a lot of our members that have the ability to trade all different cryptocurrencies through our automated trading system, we're able to like benefit on top of the crazy bull run that we've been going through the past, like $2,000 or so since the crash. We've been catching all that. And so we don't trade for our customers, subscribers, but we allow our subscribers to follow our own trading with their own Binance account, and it's all automated. So you just watch your own Binance or BitMEX account trading automatically. And it's not like algorithms, it's our actual traders. It was nice to help people and see and, create some income for everyone. I think we're going to see a shift to that. Like a lot more people, when they have the opportunity, are going to say, I don't want to go back to work. Do you think that's going to happen? Do you think a lot of people are just not going to want to go back to work after and continue working from home remotely?
What, you mean go back to an office building?
Yep.
Well, I guess it depends on the effectiveness. If you've been able to prove that, you can get your work done and maybe go in once or twice a week, right, and be more effective. And let's face it, so there's so much waste in the office. There's waste, and in schools there's waste. I'll bet you a lot of people are discovering right now that their kids are learning a heck of a lot more at home, real world application type stuff than they would be learning if they were sitting in a schoolroom. And that's I'm not dissing teachers at all. There's some really incredible teachers out there, but there's also a lot of waste.
That's a true story. Why not decentralize schools?
Well, we're all fans of decentralization, and personal feelings are the less that it is a centralized entity.
Well, this is
better.
the thing. Let's look at education for a second. We don't treat our teachers well. Our teachers literally are responsible for molding our children's brain for the first 12 years of their life in most countries. And we literally pay them worse than we pay like grocery store workers. So we don't care about our teachers. But maybe this is an opportunity to upend the whole system. How many people are homeschooling their kids now? A lot of people now may say, hey, instead of homeschooling, I know people are doing this. They're creating their own like virtual groups where each parent teaches one subject. And a lot of homeschoolers did this before COVID anyways. But now there's an opportunity for teachers who previously taught in schools to have the ability to teach these pods for a few hours a day in each small group or whatever. So you're having it done in a much more catered, like in a non-school environment. The teacher is the head and the students. It's teacher student. There's no bureaucracy. There's no bullshit.
Yeah. To your point, there is a company called VIP Kid, and they're based out of China. And what they do is they literally hire American teachers who are underpaid to teach the Chinese kids English and other school topics and subjects, right? And so the Chinese kids are getting an amazing education, whereas American kids are getting a subpar education. And then you have countries like Norway, who their teachers are paid at a premium, and their schooling systems are amazing. In America, we spend so much money on bombs and Department of Defense and Department of War that we don't actually spend enough on Department of Education to teach the future of our country. And so that's just that stuff rolls downhill. That's like a big sort of a long-term problem that we have whenever we have a lot of these other countries completely educating their kids in a much better way. And as we just spend more money on bombs.
It's so true. It's so true. And I think this is going to change a lot of that. And we're going to see different people do different things, but, also with politics. But how crypto gets involved, I don't know. Like Bitcoin and crypto has been a shining light throughout this whole thing. Our community stayed strong. Our currencies had bounced back. Our projects are hiring. Our unemployment rate compared to like how many has been let go is extremely low. The companies that I work with, a lot of them have just paused. And a lot of the CEOs told me, hey, Charlie, like, you know, we already have a low burn. A lot of our staff, because of COVID and because these companies in crypto, the staff, most of the time at least, they actually have a passion and a love for this industry and for like changing the world. They were more willing to like be creative with their compensation when this hit with their companies. At least that's the feedback that I'm getting from the companies that I consult for.
I'm pulling up CoinGecko here. This is total crypto market cap going all the way back to, well, when you were involved in it, you know.
I actually predate that chart.
You do. That's funny because this goes back to.
That's pretty funny.
This goes to April 2013 when volume was insignificant. And then we saw this huge run in 2017 where Bitcoin hit about 20,000. This is all crypto. The total market cap hit, I think, 852 billion. Right now we're sitting at about almost 250 billion.
Yeah, but scroll down a little bit. You see that volume of that is just like a blip. It looks like compared to where we are now.
Yeah, this spike here, there's the volume where my mouse is, and now the volume is so much more than it was then. Is that fake volume? Is that real volume? What do you think's going on there?
You know, it's so funny. Hover your mouse over like the 2017, 18 time volume, like right there, that little bump. Mm-hmm. That same question that you're asking me, everyone was saying that was fake volume. So if that was fake volume, is this more fake volume? And if that was fake volume, how much of that was actually real? Like, so yes, like there's always going to be fake volume in every manipulated market. But if you look relative to then versus now, even if the amount of fake volume is stayed the same versus real volume, that means that we have that much more real volume now.
You know, what's really fun is to look here.
Oh, that's a fun chart to do too. Yeah.
This is, you know, if you look at this chart and go, wow, look at how high crypto went and then went like that. That though is a total blip, right, on the radar when we go ahead and you see the big picture. Let me see if I can expand this here so it's not behaving. Oh, behave. There we go. Stop it. My mouse is being clicky. There we go.
Boom.
Look how different that is. So what do you think? You know, the halving is coming in 11 days. It looks like it's
well, hold on, keep that chart. Don't move that chart up. When was the last halving? It was the end of 2016.
Right.
Right. So let's look at the end of 2016. What happened there?
Refresh this here. And
what happened at the end of 2016 there? Let me ask you.
Okay, let me go to 2016 on this.
No, but you could just look over it right there. Like July 2016, you see that was around the last halving. Like Google, like, so look what happened there.
Look, a year and a half afterwards when the price went boom.
Yeah, it took some
a year
time.
Later.
Yep.
So everyone's expecting, but look what can you zoom in on like mid 2016 to like 2018?
Yeah, let me talk about it while I try and get it.
Well, what I was going to say is it's Travis. So that's what happened. You know, you see, you saw an increase, but it was a slow increase. But what you did see there, especially on a halving time, was a volume increase, and volume started to grow. So around what happens is during the halving, it's not that the price doubles so quickly. It's that halving is seen as like a bullish marker, you know, and that's, I think, what we're finally seeing now is that we keep seeing these bullish events over and over and over again. And I don't know if you guys tell me, it seems like the bullish events are starting to outweigh the bearish ones. And the bearish ones are usually for events like COVID. What does that have to say about our industry? What does that have to say that, you know, Draper's putting another $500 million into a fund he announced 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, well, I mean, the dude's a smart dude. So certainly it seems like the wise thing is to follow the smart money.
Yeah.
Well, it's also, as we've sort of mentioned, is the more the printer goes brrr, the more the value of the dollar goes down, but the value of Bitcoin's not going to go down. The buying power of Bitcoin's going to stay relative. Just the price of the value of the dollar is going to keep going down. That's how it seems to me like we're going to see $100,000 Bitcoin way sooner than we might have thought it could have happened. I mean,
that's a good point.
Yeah, we had those outrageous claims by, you know, McAfee, which he ended up coming back saying that, of course, he was joking. It was just a PR stunt. But You know, there's some people out there like Draper who've said 250,000 by the end of 2022, early 2023. So it's like that to me seems like it could be very close because man, who knows with this tumultuous nature of the economy right now, and everybody's talking how these bubbles are going to pop. Man, being in crypto seems like it could be a safe haven, even though that it is very volatile.
That's a great actually soundbite, and it's something maybe you could tweet after this, but that's we may get to $100,000 per Bitcoin, not solely because Bitcoin's value increased, but that dollar's value decreased. And that's what we're seeing now every time that printer goes burr.
Mm-hmm.
Every time the printer goes burr. You know, McAfee was talking about eating an unmentionable if it didn't hit 1 million. Bitcoin doesn't hit 1 million by the end of this year. I'm going to have a stack of pancakes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Sounds great.
I'm going to have some pancakes with some butter and hot syrup. Now I'm...
Do you like the blueberries in it or on it?
Neither. Don't be mixing fruit in.
Oh man, in it. If you do it good, you get it in it.
It is
so good. You do it right, they come out fantastic. Hey, before we end this thing, tell everyone about your podcast. It's like Untold Stories with Charlie Shrem. I think your style and your format's really great. Tell the folks about it so they can maybe tune in sometime.
If you love Bad Crypto Podcast, you're definitely going to love Untold Stories because, like I told you guys when I created the show, I said I wanted to create it around the most successful other podcast, which was what you guys do, but while entertaining and educating people. So untoldstories.com, we have a great show. We have some amazing guests, a lot of my friends from the old days of Bitcoin, and we just tell great stories and we talk about different topics. And what ends up happening is the guests end up explaining really complicated things in really, really simple ways, not realizing that they're doing it. And a lot of the guests end up telling me that their opinions, and I a lot of times realize that my guest opinions are different than the opinions of their companies. So it's nice to see the opinions of the people that are running the companies that you're using every single day.
Who do you listen to, Charlie? Who are the people in the crypto space that are intrigued by their thoughts around blockchain?
It's such a good question because I used to listen to a lot more podcasts, but now I can't because if I listen to a podcast with the same guest that I have, it messes up my show.
Yeah.
Although I still, I used to listen to your show a lot. I listen to a lot of the other shows. I like Palm's show and Peter McCormick's show.
Well, maybe not even podcasts. I'm just talking about, what leaders in the space do you pay attention to that when they say something, you're like, your tone, zoned in on it? That's
a great question. I said that for every question you've asked, but this really is a great question.
This is just a little greater than the last.
This is a great tip. Here's a great tip for anyone. If you're ever wondering who to follow on crypto Twitter or who to listen to, someone makes an opinion and you say, I want to listen to this person. A great metric that I like to use is how many people are working for this person. If this person is a thought leader, are they building a company? If yes, how many people are there? What are they doing? Because that means that this person's opinion could alter his company. If this person says something stupid, his company can get, the shit. And if that happens, all of his employees are out of a job. So he's morally responsible for his opinion a lot of times. And so I like to look at those leaders. So a lot of the leaders that are running these companies, I look at them. And if you've noticed, a lot of these people, as their companies start to grow, their crazy radical opinions that where they're like personally attacking people start to like level out, and that's nice to see at the same time.
I think of Elon Musk, right? Dude just says whatever he wants to say. Exactly where he stands.
Yeah,
he's got FU money though. Not everybody has that.
The thing is, he has enough money to bail out his company if like he does something stupid. That's the thing. That's the difference.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard Samson Williams yesterday here on the conference, but make sure you check out the replay. He's projecting that Jeff Bezos is going to bail out America and become the president in 2024 and the chairman of the Fed.
In what way? How would that even work?
It's really in depth, and you'll have to go back to where the stream was yesterday and find Samson's.
You need to have him on your show.
If a bunch of wealthy people together decided to just zero out their balance from the total circulation of dollars, everyone's value of dollars would go up immediately. So that they could bail us out right now.
I don't even know that's true because I mean, you take some of those top billionaires, it's not even going to put a dent whenever they're printing $8 trillion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even a dent. I mean, that's the whole thing about it is that the money is just a figment of our imagination. Just because the government says it's worth something, we agree.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for having me here.
Hey, Charlie, we appreciate it. Charlie Shrem, Untold Stories. Charlie, I know that the journalists at Cointelegraph are waiting for you in the green room to ask you some questions as well. And we'll
give Courtney a big hug from us.
I will do. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
See you,
love you guys.
See you guys later.
Charlie Shrem, the one and only crypto OG.
We made no shrimp jokes this time.
No shrimp jokes.
Gumbo, shrimp, fried shrimp. We didn't make any of those.
Well, you just kind of did it.
Well, that's okay.
Want to give a shout out to one of the sponsors of this event, Silo. We had Dorian, I believe, the other day on Monday talking about them. They're actively deploying the decentralized future through the Silo network. The Silo Smart Wallet app and their protocol provide a decentralized communication network with the performance and scalability to support millions of users and businesses. The Silo network's an extensible infrastructure owned by no one, built to offer the world what centralized businesses are unwilling or unable to provide. The network's made possible by the Silo protocol. It's a robust mobile-first peer-to-peer communication protocol supported by incentivized service peers and designed to support powerful dApps. To prove the real-world utility of the Silo protocol network, the Silo Smart Wallet was created, and you can check it out when you go to our sponsors page, vbw20.com/sponsors, or just click the big blue button on the top of the page. It says sponsors, and scroll down to you see Silo. That'll take you right there, and you can check it out. We appreciate their partnership for helping make this event possible.
Yes, so vbw20.com/sponsors. Now, our next guest, I'm very excited to introduce this fine fellow. I've known this guy for quite a long time. Actually, what's interesting is I met this guy and you on the exact same day, which is peculiar. And ended up creating a podcast and business with you and created a book with Mr. Chris Snook. He is the best-selling co-author of Digital Sense and Rebooting Retail, the managing partner at Launch House, the co-founder of Bank Chain, the chairman and founder of the World Tokenomic Forum. He's an Inc. magazine contributor, husband and father, and a venture catalyst, which I love, brand humanizer. And he is going to be doing a very unique presentation. He's packed so much sausage into this presentation, there will be no food shortages.
Chris Snook, how you doing, brother?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Excellent. We're really glad you're here. This is you guys watching this. If there was ever an opportunity to share that you are watching the stream, whether on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, share it now, because you're about to get absolutely a brilliant brain dump from Chris Snook. Chris, we're going to turn it over to you, man. Go for it.
Man, it's that fast, huh? Can you hear me okay before I start?
Oh yeah, you sound great. You look like you're in the Matrix there.
Awesome. So we'll get the logistical stuff out of the way. Post-pandemic winners and losers is the topic. That awesome graphic Travis Wright made in the back. If they're doing the LinkedIn thing, I'm still getting the hand signals down. Small guys up there throughout, big ones over there, or you can just Google the name. Happy to connect or answer any questions, because I'm going to fly through this as best I can. Maybe there'll be some time for some questions at the end. Joel and Travis would always love those, because you usually take it to another level. So I believe in transparency as it relates to bias. I never like when I have to try and guess where someone's bias is. So I'm going to disclose mine. There's two groups of it. I'll call it the foundational bias. Anyone who's ever listened to me kind of knows what some of those are. And then the supplemental bias. These are books that I'm going to duck out of the way for a second here so you can get a screenshot. That was your chance. But look those up. We'll talk through a couple of them. But these things will come up throughout the talk, and I disclose them so that you understand that although I don't know if I'm right, I hope I'm not right about a lot of this stuff. I think I am. And that's not to be alarmist, because I don't believe there's any value in being alarmist. But I do think that we can all be smart. And a lot of these themes will be recurring. And I've listened to several of the talks this week. And so I think when you compile them all together, you guys have done a great job. And hopefully this will help draw some insights out of it for you. But let's start with what we're up against. You saw the book, The Watchman's Rattle, in there. It came out in 2011. I produced a show back then in 2012 that G. Edward Griffin was on during Occupy Wall Street with Rebecca Costa. But the thing that she always told me that stood out, and she's a dear friend that is one of the smartest people I know, is that we've got Paleolithic emotions. We live within medieval institutions and amongst godlike technology. And why that matters is that another book that complements the evolutionary biological constraints that Rebecca goes in depth on is Neil Howe and William Strauss's book from '97 that's called The Fourth Turning. Many of you have probably read it or heard people talk about it ad nauseum, so I'm not the only one. But it really changed a lot of things for me in '08 when I first discovered it and began reading it a couple different times. And when you look at Edelman's trust barometer as of 2017, when Travis and I wrote Digital Sense, trust was already in crisis according to this global Edelman trust barometer. And Fourth Turning kind of prophesied that based on looking at these generational cycles. And so the problem is when you take this trust being in crisis mode and living within the fourth turning, which is called the crisis period, which is somewhere between now and 2025, maybe 2028, based on his most recent assumptions that I've caught up with, coming to a pinnacle. The last time we came through that was 1945. And so when you have trust in crisis, you have all these things that we've been talking about for years now, like we need new systems, we need new currency, we need, blockchain, Bitcoin, like all these great ideas, but they don't really get anywhere, right? They get to scale and the early adopters make money, and we've got Bitcoin billionaires already and we've got Bitcoin millionaires. But the reality is that we're weird. Most of the people in the world still don't know how to buy it. It's still super hard to get. They don't know if it's a scam or not. They think it might be rat poison because Warren Buffett believes so. And so we're nowhere even near where it matters. And yet we know that it does matter, right? But this war of wealth that Travis, you did a great job talking about with the history of money, this has been going on for thousands of years. It's going to continue to go on. And this is independent of central banks, because prior to this third central bank, which both G. Edward and Travis covered in depth, called the Federal Reserve, being formed 107 years ago, we had the national banking era. And we had bubbles during that, as you can see on this slide. And so it's not exclusive to central banks that we have these booms and busts. But what is exclusive to the current situation is the amount of velocity we've put into that curve. And our population has followed it. So as you look at the chart here, the national banking era and the central banking era, the second national bank, prior to that, leading up to this current one, which began in 1913. And these stats are through 2010, but again, we all know where 2020 is, right? So we have 7.8 billion people trying to make the turn this macro cycle, this fourth turning. The last time we came around the corner in a crisis, there was 1.7 billion people. So we're literally almost 6.5, 7x the amount of people. And the other big difference that you've probably already intuitively figured out is when we had 1.7 billion people going through this kind of change, they weren't all connected. And most of them lived in rural parts of the world. Less than 5% of them lived inside of a city. Today, as we make this next turn through 2030, over 65% of the 7.8 billion people on this earth live inside a city, densely packed together. And we're all connected, obviously, or we wouldn't be having this Zoom. So that brings different dynamics into the mix. And so these are some of the things that, just as a level setting context, prior to COVID, that we're dealing with. These are the environments that we're playing in. And Gerd Leonhardt is a friend, and we had him out in Fort Collins years ago when we produced an event there. Has said this, I think in 2014 or 2015. One of the books on that earlier side was Technology versus Humanity. Talks about these mega shifts. And this is his quote. But the way that I always articulate it is, you and I are this couple, right? We are George and Martha's cousins. And we went to bed last night with bearskin rugs over us to keep warm, candlelight to read by. And when we blew that out, we woke up and we had running water, we had electricity, we had, even though it's not operating, we had a city bus, we had rail, we had Wi-Fi, we had drones overhead, we had cameras on every corner, we had an iPhone waking us up. Imagine how you would feel if you went to bed under a bearskin rug and you were blowing out a candle and then you woke up in that reality. You would feel like you weren't part of this world. And so if you can imagine how they would feel, then take everything that you're comfortable with right now. As you listen to this, you were able to log on to a Zoom and watch an international conference for the last couple of days or for the last 10 minutes. You're comfortable with that. But that will feel like blowing out a candle in 2040. And that'll stretch your brain a little bit. So if you wonder what happens to us, right, our evolutionary biology, what happens to our brains when we start to try and compute that exponential math? Well, we revert to habit. And so we start to do the things that Rebecca talked about in Watchman's Rattle, which is we correlate irrationally. We get gridlock. We get polarized, right? We become ideological. We replace fact with belief, right? Because we just can't compute all this stuff. And so it's easy to find and then lean on crutches. And so we revert to habit and we become polarized and we become all the things that we've seen emerge over the last 15 years. And culture has best been described to me as nothing but more than group habit. Think about it. It's always the other person who has the accent, isn't it? It's never me. So culture, defined as group habit, is nothing more than, if this is a picture of our mind behind us to help you organize how your mind works. You have the conscious mind, which is your thoughts, the ones you choose, the ones you neglect, the ones you reject, the ones you accept. They create the feeling, the thing that ultimately operates inside you as a vibration. And then that moves you into action, the things you do or don't do, the actions you take or don't take. Emerson called it the law of laws, cause and effect. It doesn't happen when I do something and the effect out there because I did it. It happens at the thinking level. So culture is this movement of group habit at scale on the thoughts, feelings, and actions. And then bam, here comes an uninvited guest. We could have predicted. I agree with the side of this that says it wasn't a black swan, because it wasn't. Oil going to negative 38 bucks a barrel, that was a black swan. No one saw that coming. COVID, we knew it was coming. There's movies about it that all of us have been watching in Netflix as early as 2007 and 2012 and 2015, and then the show 2015, right? 2017. They've been predicting this forever. It's just never going to happen to us, right? It's never going to happen on our watch. And so these unprecedented firsts, think about this. Not only do we have 7.8 billion people making the turn this time through this crisis period of the fourth turning, which is 6-point-something billion more than the last time. But we've had, for the first time in the history of recorded humanity, 10,000 years-ish, net zero migration for the last 60 days. The first time in the world, nobody's moved anywhere. Think about what the implications of that might be on the backs of all your habits being broken, all of your abilities to move around freely for a small period of time, not by law, but just by choice even. Some places it's by law. But even if it's just by self-quarantining, think about what you're going to do, what choices, what aha moments people have had in their house. Do they like where they live? Do they like the city? Do they want to be out in the rural area because they can connect and work remotely? What's going to happen to migration out of hotspots, as Parag calls them, once people can start moving again? Where will talent flows go? What will that mean for business? What will a global work from home environment that has been forced upon us? It broke the habit of remote work was a nice thing to have and offer, like massages and cereal at Google. It went from a nice to have little ding on the we're culturally friendly box to a everyone does it, so guess what? Deal with it. Teachers have had to learn how to reteach stuff. Everyone's had to learn how to work from home. So now it's not so scary anymore. The habit was forced broken by this uninvited guest. 1.4 billion kids are now homeschooling, not because they chose to, but because they wanted to. We've been thinking about it for years. Now we don't have to think about it. We did it. We're comfortable with it. I think a big percentage of people are never going back. What's that going to mean? Who knows, right? But these are the opportunities. So there's winners and losers in this. Millions are out of work in jobs that'll probably never come back. Negative interest rates are around the world. Our Fed is at 0.6 basis or 60 basis points or whatever, near zero, going to stay there, according to Jerome Powell the other day. The bottom line is, as you'll see in a second, I'm of the camp that believes that if we don't go negative, we'll wreck the whole deal faster. So I'm not in the hyperinflation camp. I'm actually in the strong dollar kills everything camp. But we'll talk about that in a second. So here's our friend Satoshi. He gives us hope. And that hope has now become a belief. Because I think at this point, we've hit a religious moment amongst hodlers, amongst newbies, and amongst a massive generation of 80 million that aren't going back to a world that doesn't exist with crypto. And Bitcoin is the only one without an ego attached. And so whether it's perfect or not, I'm of the opinion that it is here to stay because it can never be created again, ever. $200 billion worth of infrastructure and growing. Volunteerism at scale, it's a true thing. Security, unlike any other asset class that's ever existed in the history of human earth today, right now, even at 8,800 or whatever it's trading at today. Thank God I hit over 9K yesterday. A little bit of excitement back in the juices. Eric Hoffer tells us that we live in a time where learners will inherit the earth and the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. And you know people that are beautifully equipped and are going to get smacked in the face in a bad, scary way because they don't understand what's happening. So what do I watch? Real Vision. I watch other things, but here's who I follow on Twitter, mostly. I follow a lot of people, but here's who I read and have been dialoguing with the most. You can screenshot that as well. Because 500 million people are going to be forced into poverty globally, according to this chart from Statista. 500 million, sorry. And that's a problem. And that's a problem that can be solved because as they're going into poverty, the people that currently aren't listed in poverty are so layered up in consumer debt and so broke and so going to be out of a job and so upside down on the pricing of everything and what they need versus what they actually want. And that consumption that has driven 70% of US's GDP was mostly baby boomers for the last 40 years, picked up by the Gen X's and Gen Y's behind that, but it is not going to sustain at that level. And we're only 340 million people strong over here anyway. So we can't prop up a world of 8 billion people with consumption because A, we're too broke to do it. And B, we're not enough of us. So unlocking that other 3 billion is going to be key. And we've been talking about that for years. But again, habits get broken when they're forced and they get replaced when they're forced, not when it's a good idea. So these unprecedented job losses are just beginning. 26 million, probably going to 30 million by the end of this week when the new report comes in. But here's the fact that took me for alarm. If you look at you can't really read that, but I circled it so I can explain to you. In 08, we saw a 58% drop in the market, and we had a negative 8.4 quarter over quarter growth. So the recession, the GDP from the same quarter, the prior year of 07, was down 8.4%. We dropped 58%. The quarter over quarter growth, first quarter of this year, was negative 25% and change. So almost 3.5x, 3x, 08. And we've only dropped 34%. And we're still ripping it, near all-time highs. So as Charlie was just talking about, none of it's rational, none of it's sustainable, and none of it makes sense. And you have this polarization going on as we look at whether globalization is the key or nationalism is the answer. And what I'm going to, jump in the camp of here is that we live in this world where, as Parag talks about, we're constantly moving towards what's called max entropy, right? The devolution is a perpetual fragmentation of territory because of connectivity, because of globalization, where the units become smaller and smaller. States becomes, municipalities becomes counties, becomes towns, right? And so people reside inside of mega cities or mega corporations, and these things can be, multi-state, multinational. And this is a map, actually. This is called Future Map. But this is a map. There's a Harvard one, and there's also another one out of another school that works with him. And what they've done is they've mapped out how the world's connected. So he wrote a book called Connectography several years ago, follow-up to that called The Future is Asian. But connectography is really the anchor that lets you understand the infrastructure that's in place. So whether we're ideological about globalism is good or bad, or nationalism is right, or populism is right, whether we want to keep America great or keep the world great, isn't the point. The infrastructure is global. Borders are less and less meaningful today than ever before because the friction that they create could kill an economy overnight. We learned that with supply chain just trying to get N95 masks and other things out of China. So as we think about how we reinvent the supply chain so that we're more sustainable, we have to think about enlightened nationalism, because populism is playing into the meme, the super meme that causes all collapses, according to Rebecca Costa, which is the polarization and the ideological war. What we have to understand is our infrastructure is globalized, but if we can have enlightened nationalism, we can rebuild economies that are more sustainable. I truly believe, and I Googled Suez crisis the other day because I wanted a graphic, and I found out Washington Post had just done an article about 7 days ago on this. The Suez Canal, essentially, if you understood what was the bluff that broke the British Empire in a matter of 4 years, they literally lost 24% of 24 of their territories by 1960 after the Suez Canal crisis. And it was essentially when we called the bluff and said, we're not going to back you. And so we became the next empire at that point. And I think America's at that point, not that we're going away, not that we're not relevant, but that point where this American empire, we've wondered about, will it ever crumble? What will that look like? What will our role be? Will the dollar hegemony cease to exist? Will Bitcoin go to zero? All these different questions that are ideological. Reality is, I think we've had this Suez crisis, and who knows what that new power is going to be. We know what the Cold War is. We've been in a Cold War for quite some time, Cold War 2.0, with the CCP and with mainland China. And it's been this frenemies kind of situation that, again, I'm not going to get in the political debate of it because there's too many camps in that. But I'm going to predict now, and I don't know or really care whether I'm right. It's more just so that you guys are understanding how I'm organizing this data in my own head, and I'm interested in the debate or the commentary. China announced this week their BSN network, right? Their blockchain network. You got Tencent, Baidu, all these major players in it. I believe the Sputnik moment, which is basically when the space race began, not the Cold War. The Cold War had already started. The space race began between Russia and America was when Sputnik went up in space because they were the first ones to get up there. We were the first to land on the moon, but the space race began then. The blockchain race has already begun, but I think our aha moment here, because we haven't woken up yet, will be 11/11/20, which is in a few short months. And the reason why I say that is I called this about 6 months ago before all this went down. I see no reason why, if I'm China, I don't shock the world by having the single largest consumer holiday on the planet occur in my own crypto, on my own blockchain rails, with my own e-com, and without a cash transaction in the mix. And if you want to participate or purchase something at Singles Day, whether you're American or not, we don't care. But last year they did $40 billion in a single day in sales in retail. And they control their own currency. And if they have a blockchain and they have the retail component of Alibaba and Ant Financial, and they already have the interface with WhatsApp and the integration to pay stuff without ever pulling out a cash or card or any of that, how couldn't they pull this off in 11/11/20? And what will that do to send shockwaves through the rest of the world that's trying to figure out if there's ever going to be an economy to go back to? So here comes Miley with her dollar wrecking ball. And the dollar wrecking ball, again, if you want real insight onto this, you want to follow Raoul Pal and some of the other guys I listed there, and we're almost near the end here, so I'm going to speed this up. But essentially, I think it looks something like this. We're going to have some kind of bounce. We're already seeing a little bit of it in 2021, 22. We're going to have some kind of massive insolvency that happens between 2022 and 24, and it's going to hit a really bad, earth-shattering, fourth-turning crisis scenario somewhere in 25 to 27, and then we'll start to come out of it. The recovery analysis that McKinsey did, again, I'll turn left and turn right. As you'll see, none of these, according to McKinsey, on how the recovery would go when we reopen things is a V. And yet all you hear about on the mainstream media is a V-shaped recovery. It ain't going to happen. For the first time in history, though, there's things that we're already doing that we're going to have to figure out how to do. We're going to have to build. America's been great because we're the most entrepreneurial state in the history of humanity to this point. America was built, not assembled. And we have to get back to that. And other countries are following that too. So it's not specifically American-centric thing, but it's something we can do. And Gartner says that right now, that companies are literally manufacturing customers because the machines are already there. So Trillions, which was one of the books that Mickey McManus wrote with a couple other people, talks about the role of how there's trillions of IoT, Internet of Things devices that are connected to each other, learning from each other, learning from us. And for the first time in human history, we're not now dealing just with a physical environment of cells and atoms and everything else, but also a virtual one that is living in our physical space that is bits arbitraged with atoms in real time. And we can turn those bits into customers. And so companies are going to manufacture machines to buy the stuff. And they already are. Here's some use cases, and then we'll go to the end. So this was the chart between 51 and 2019, long before COVID. Doesn't look good to be in the automaking business because people don't buy as many cars as they used to. Okay, you want more data. This was before people were out of work at 26 million going to 30 million. There was 22-year highs on a 90-day delinquency rate of subprime auto loans. In 2018, that number's only gone up. It's only going higher. So this begs the question. If in 1920, Henry Ford with the Model T and that was able to democratize auto ownership, but now what we care about is access. Who in 2020? Where's the winner in 2020 that's going to create affordable, flexible access? Well, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I have no skin in this. I don't own Tesla. I'm not going to get in a religious debate over whether it's a scam or whether it's the most amazing company ever. What I'm going to tell you is they're the only company that could go into a model rapidly where they could create mobility as a service, and they could literally provide Model 3s, the Cybertruck, and whatever through subscription plans that other companies with traditional dealer networks have tried to roll out, but it only works in cities. But imagine if you're paying $150 to $200 a month and you have a Tesla membership and you don't have to pay auto insurance because it's covered. You can cancel at any time. You have a small down payment. It's $500 to $1,000 to get in. And then you can basically freeze it like a gym membership or whatever. So if you're like me or Travis or Joel, when the economies are open and you're traveling a bunch, you don't need a car sitting in your garage 3 months out of the year doing nothing. And you don't want a $500, $600, $900, $1,000 payment, or you're too broke to afford one. Would you like a Model 3 to pull up to your driveway, get in when you need it, pay $200 a month, cancel it, freeze it when you can't afford it? $100 billion company with 10 million subscribers tomorrow. So I'm bullish Tesla for that reason. And by the way, over-the-air updates, the only network, it's not about EV versus gas. It's about, can I update this thing? Can I feed back data in real time to the insurance companies? Can I feed back to the municipalities and create revenue streams that never existed before because I can tell them where the potholes are because the car's doing it, not the human. So 76 million jobs in the travel industry gone. Who knows when they're coming back? What's that going to do? That's going to shut down ports for a while, maybe long term, and all the businesses around it. New York's here not just because of the current crisis, but because in the when the Depression happened, the Empire State Building was built. It took 20 years before it was cash flow positive. So as wonderful as that building is, and as iconic as that building is, the person who built that building waited 20 years before they broke even, right? And if you haven't followed commercial mortgage-backed delinquencies, one of the biggest shorts happening right now is Icon's short of CMBS, and it's working. And the COVID virus just took it up. It was already on the rise prior to COVID in March of 2019. And so I don't have the data today, but I think you can figure it out. Esports, sports in general. How are we going to connect with teams? How are we going to reinvent sports? FCFL competed in our Sandcastle Challenge years ago. This is a game where it's like Tecmo Bowl meets real live avatars. You're seeing the data that says people want to engage with stuff. 25-year-olds in 1980 had Dow at 972, had 15% savings rates. Sure, the mortgages were just as high, but the houses were affordable because of it. The jobs actually paid a living wage. And they had nothing but upside in the yield curve. So they saw a trajectory where everyone who says, well, you can't lose money in bonds for the last 40 years. Yeah, it's because when they started, they were at the bottom. Bonds today, negative. So you're literally going to pay to have risk-free capital. That's the only thing bonds are good for right now. Right? The market, all-time highs, we've already talked about. So what's the only thing a 25-year-old can get excited about today? Crypto. Whether they're in a shit coin or the best coin on planet, the fact is it's the only thing that's got upside. And it's got a lot of upside. So I don't see 88 million people going back to something else, but here's the four kinds of money as we wind down that people are going to have to deal with. We've always had nature's money. Some call it God's money, gold, silver. That's been around forever, right? It's the only thing that's still current. It's the only safe haven as of today, where money will fly uncorrelated to market, right? But unfortunately, 80% of it's controlled by the central banks and owned by the central banks, specifically the G7. So you and I can access it. We can buy a little, but we can't buy enough to get a seat at the table. So then Satoshi comes along and creates this whole industry with the white paper. And we have, for the first time, we have the people's money, which we all know about. We know what that is. Can't be shut down, can't be subpoenaed, democratized access, but it's not big enough. $1 trillion pension fund manager is not buying Bitcoin today, even though, it went up 40% yesterday or whatever. Why? Because a 40% gain on a couple $1 billion exposure doesn't lift the needle on a weighted average return on $1 trillion asset. A quote the other day I read was at $55,000, when it hits parity with gold's market cap, we'll start watching it. And at 350, we'd like to probably own some. Think about that if you're hodling anywhere north of or south of where it is today. A pension fund manager is telling you at 350, we'll probably start to buy some. This is either zero or millions, but it doesn't have adoption, and it won't get to the adoption that we want, no matter how much we pontificate about it, which is why corporate money, which is the fourth wheel that never existed before, the feds, the government never had to deal with this variable either. So they got to deal with the people's money they can't shut down. Then they got to deal with the user money that is scary as hell, because Libra comes out and says, I got 2.5 billion people ready to go. WhatsApp's already taken people's money. And so you can imagine as a government person right now what you're thinking. But here's some theories that are reviving. And this is going to piss some people off, but I think if you think about it for a while, you'll find the possibilities of it. Again, not about idealism, about pragmatism. If you want freedom, Bitcoin is the closest thing to your answer, and then the privacy coins that will come to that. If you want a hedge against the next 20 years, I can't think of a better one because it's literally binary, millions per coin or zero. And it ain't going to zero as far as I'm concerned, but that's my opinion. What gold will do is maybe go to 5, maybe go to 7, maybe go to 10 current. So that's a good store of value, but it isn't going to have the disproportionate return that the asset class of Bitcoin will and some of its top, contenders. But Silvio Gesell in the 30s came up with free money, Libra Moneta. And it wasn't about giving it away for free. What it was about was liberating it from the need to be a store of value. He didn't believe store of value money and a medium of exchange should exist in partnership because it implied you should hoard it. And you can see that today. The biggest problem the Fed faces or any central bank is what's called the liquidity trap. They flood the money with new dollars and people hoard them. So they don't get to where they're supposed to go. And then they have no way to track them. So
hey, Chris, I feel like you've got so much information that you could unload all night long.
I got one slide left.
We got to move along, man. Where can people get the slides?
I'm going to put them up on YouTube for you. So here's the last thing. We'll put up an extended version of this and we'll record it. We'll put it on YouTube. I don't want to get into Pomp's way. If you want to follow me, just follow me there. And I'd love to have you join the waitlist for WYO Hackathon in September. We'll see you there. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And awesome to be here.
That's great, man. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. There's a lot there to
That was like 3 presentations in one. He crammed a lot in there, brother.
That's fantastic.
Thanks, Pomp, for being patient.
All right, brother. We'll see you later.
All right, become a fan again.
Pomp is up next. Absolutely. In 2013, Anthony Pompliano founded Digiforce. It's a social media platform that contains information about demography, and they were acquired by Strategic Link Partners in 2013. In 2015, he served as a growth leader at Snapchat. He was also a product manager at Facebook. He's seen inside these digital giants. He became a managing partner at Full Tilt Capital in 2016, and they were an early stage venture capital firm that was acquired by Morgan Creek Digital Assets in 2018. He's one of the people that, the media goes to again and again to hear his opinion because he's got some really unique insights into the blockchain world. His podcast is called Off the Chain Podcast, and we're pleased to welcome Mr. Anthony Pompliano. What's up, Tony?
How are you guys?
Does anybody call you Tony, or does everybody call you Pomp?
People call me a lot of things. They're good to call me whatever they want.
Sometimes not always glowing, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's plenty of those people as well. No problem.
Yeah, well, when you have opinions, you're not going to please everybody, and you've got a lot of them. So let's start here and now. What in the world is going on?
Going on with what? The economy, Bitcoin? What do you want to talk about?
Man, I'll break it all down. Let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about coronavirus. I just want to hear your thoughts. Brain dump, dude.
Yeah, well, look, it all starts with, I think, coronavirus. Obviously, there's a very serious, health situation that needs to be taken seriously. The problem is that all the data is inaccurate. We've been saying this now for literally weeks. Both the infection numbers, the death rates, when you look across geographies, the data is just unreliable and inaccurate. And so it's really hard to make good decisions when you're looking at bad data. People are trying their best to do and make those decisions with what they have. But it's just very obvious that the data is bad. If you look in somewhere like a New York City, at one point when they were saying there was 12,000 deaths, they were openly stating that 5,000 of them had been confirmed cases and actually tested positive. But 7,000 people, they just threw in there because it was probable that they had died from it. And so, I'm not here to say it could have been more, could have been less, frankly, right? It could be worse than we think it is or better than we think it is. But just the idea that there's bad data, I think is a really important point, because then it leads to every other decision you make, not only one, how you deal with kind of the government mandated shutdown, but also then how do you reopen cities, right? How do you measure success? How do you make sure that you're not actually doing damage by reopening cities? How long should people be mandated to wear masks and social distancing and things like that? Generally, I just think that I'm not a health expert, and I really couldn't tell you if this virus is better or worse or whatever than anything else. It's just obvious that the data is wrong, and we got to get testing and get better data. That then leads to a economic crisis, right? I mean, anytime you get an economy where literally you sent everyone home, I think that it's obvious you're going to have an economic downfall. You've literally ground the economy to a halt. And so 4.8% GDP negative in Q1. That's actually not that bad given the fact they sent everyone home for a couple of weeks. You've got over 30 million Americans who have filed for unemployment claims, first-time unemployment claims in the last 6 weeks. And then you got companies that are literally reporting, just massive losses. I mean, American Airlines today came out with their numbers. They lost $2.2 billion in Q1, which, sounds pretty bad until you realize that most of those losses all came kind of in the last 4 weeks of the quarter, last 3 weeks of the quarter. And so right now they're losing about $70 million a day, right? Which is just massive numbers. And so airline bookings are down 95%. The stat that just blows my mind is movie theaters. So the third week of March in 2019, U.S. domestic box office did over $200 million in revenue across the board, across the industry. In the third week of March of 2020, they did $5,000 combined as an industry.
We're all
So
Netflix and chilling, right? That's it.
I mean, and look, and here's the sad part, right? Is like what that means is that drives the unemployment number. That means that all of the small mom and pop shops, they're going to get put out of business. And then the large companies are going to go, basically become socialist and go to the government and ask for bailouts. And that's pretty much what we've seen happen. It's gotten so bad that even governments are saying, wait a second, local and state governments are going to the federal government and saying, hey, we need a bailout, right? We literally mismanaged our capital, our revenues down. And so I think what you're starting to see is, the virus has essentially exposed a lot of shams in society. And what I mean by that is higher education got exposed, a lot of kind of the government financing and capital management, balance sheet management, they got exposed. A lot of these businesses that were upside down in terms of their unit economics or didn't have strong balance sheets, they got exposed. And then bad businesses, right? I mean, look, the conversation that a lot of people don't like to have, but I do think is important is there's a lot of small businesses out there that are just bad businesses in general. They're very hard to run. And that doesn't mean that those entrepreneurs or small business owners should be left out to dry. Actually, I think we should be spending the most time helping them. America was built on entrepreneurs and kind of the American spirit of innovation and ingenuity, but it doesn't change the fact that if you're, let's say, a restaurant, you've got super thin margins, you basically run year round with about 2 weeks of cash in the bank. That's just not a great business, right? And so naturally, you're going to start to see some consolidation there. And my fear is that a lot of those businesses don't come back, which means that those 30 million Americans who filed for unemployment don't have jobs to go back to, right? And so the two things I'm paying attention to right now are how many small businesses are actually going to come back after this shutdown. My guess is about 20% of them probably will not come back. Small businesses make up 50% of jobs in America. So, it's about 10% loss in jobs on average. And so if you look at that with that unemployment number, you're not going to get back to single digits for a while. And then the second thing is kind of what is the economic damage of the large companies, right? How many of those companies that are showing losses can get back to break even in Q3, right? How big are the losses in Q2 for this year? And kind of what's that road to recovery look like? I think people are, a little bit more optimistic than they should be. And you see it in the stock market, right? You kind of see this dislocation between stocks rallying and the economic reality, or what I call the economic carnage, right? I was talking to an accountant I work with, and I just said to him, hey, are you good, right? Not necessarily from a business standpoint, but just like mentally and psychologically. And he said, I've never seen this amount of economic carnage in such a short period of time. And I think that just
it has been unbelievable. And I think, and I want to ask you about this. And for one, it's great to meet you. We've not had a chance to meet before. So great to finally have a chance to chat with you.
Nice to meet you as well. Yeah.
We're talking about this economic carnage. At what point do we get to the point where civilization starts to teeter? Because it seems to me that, we've had the world tap on the economic brakes and then slam on the economic brakes. And then now we have this sort of, it's almost like we've seen the bomb go off and now we're just waiting for the shock wave. Like we haven't even got, the shock wave isn't even here yet, because more and more people are going to start suffering. What happens when, we're already here. We're at the first of the month again. People got to pay rent. They got to pay their phone bill. They got to pay electricity. We got 1,200 Trump bucks. But what is that going to do when massive people, when there becomes more have-nots than those that have? It seems to me that social unrest is closer now than it maybe has ever been at least in our lifetimes.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to remember a couple of things here, right? So one is the government works for the people, right? We elect them; they're here to serve us. They're not, kind of in charge of us, if you will. but we put them in place. And so there's ways to kind of rectify that situation. One of the easy ones is when it's time to vote, go out to the polls and vote, right? If you don't like what the job somebody's doing, go vote them out of office. And I think that's kind of the beauty of a democratic process. In the meantime, there are incredible infringements on civil liberties and personal freedoms going on. I continue to tweet about them because I have the unique perspective of, not only one, having been in the U.S. Military and gone overseas, but I've seen what happens in these economies. I've been to these places. I've literally seen the end of this road. And if you talk to a lot of people, especially people who've been in the military, who have kind of seen this, they're the first ones to say, look, I love my country, but the whole point of the country is to have those civil liberties and personal freedoms, right? That is the American spirit. That is the American dream, if you will. And so the things that I look at, are kind of different than most people. So the first thing is we've got horrible leadership across the board on both sides of the aisle. And what I mean by that is imagine being a governor right now and saying, if you're a business owner in my state, I'm going to shut you down. Literally, I'm going to mandate that you have to shut down, but I'm going to keep pulling my paycheck. The first thing every governor should have done is said, I'm going to forego my salary until my small business owners can get back and start making a living. I'm not going to take my living, right? I'm actually going to donate it to them. And so it's little things like that I look at and say, these people don't care. They really don't care, right? And they'll kind of wave their hands and say they care and do all this kind of stuff, but it's all opportunistic. Because the second piece of that is, if you look at like the PPP loans and things like that, all of the help is going to the people who are rich, the people who are hyper successful, or the people who are well connected. If you really, really want to help people, put money in the hands of the people and in the small businesses. That's what will get the economy going again. Not giving 200 plus public companies PPP loans, or having the banks literally pick and choose who they're going to process loans for, even though they're publicly saying it's first come, first served. Instead, they're just picking their best clients.
Yeah, that's a great point there. So why aren't these corporations held responsible? Like they tell the public, hey, well, you need to save for a rainy day, but they don't hold the corporations to that same standard. They spend their billions and they go, oh, I'm just going to do stock buybacks and help fuel the investors, but not actually save for a rainy day. A lot of these companies could have avoided all this if they had saved some billions in the bank, right?
Well, here's what you remember. All the people in the government that are making the decisions right now, they're all Wall Street bankers. That's literally that's what they are. They're bailing their friends out, right? Mm-hmm. And it's this whole idea of quantitative easing being kind of the UBI for rich people, right? And my favorite, way to kind of position this, or the perspective I look at it from, is that the reason why these corporations are running to the government and asking for bailouts is because they know the government's the idiot in the room. The deals that they're getting from the government would never happen from private market investors or public market investors in the debt and equity markets. And so if you look at the airline bailouts, for example, they got given billions of dollars and they only have to pay back 30% of it. 70% of it's a grant.
Which we're paying for, right? That's on the taxpayer back.
What investor do you know who's just going to give somebody money and say, I just feel bad for you, just keep it, right? That just doesn't happen. And so again, that's why they're running to the government, is because they know the government's going to be the idiot in the room. And why is the government going to bail them out? It's all under this, again, this sham of, oh, they're too big to fail. They're too important. Well, guess what? If the airlines go through bankruptcy, the airlines are not going to stop running. They're still going to keep running. They're actually going to transfer the assets from bad capital allocators to good capital allocators. And it's more likely we'll get better competition, better innovation, lower prices, more efficiency in the market. But what's now happening here is we're moving from a capitalistic society to a socialist society, and it's going to change the risk factors and the kind of the incentive structure in our economy. And that's a really bad thing, because now think about, once we get out of this, all of a sudden, why should I save? I know the government's going to bail me out. I'm going to just literally leverage up and I'm going to go for broke. And if I get to that point, well, the government will bail me out in the next financial crisis and I'll be fine. And so what you actually are going to do is you're going to kind of open the governor on risk taking, which sounds not that bad until you realize there's no correcting mechanism on the other side of this. So you're basically removing risk for these large corporations. And then out of the entire thing, the biggest sham of it all is this horrible governance at the corporate level, right? Because what these boards are doing is they're tying a lot of the executive compensation to stock price, and they know that they can use debt-fueled buybacks to drive that stock price up. Well, when you tie compensation to stock price and the compensation is in actual stock options or stock grants, what you're doing is you're incentivizing bad behavior like we've seen. And so I've got no problem with stock buybacks. Knock yourself out. It's a tax efficient way to return value back to shareholders. You want to do dividends, knock yourself out. But if you do that stuff, then don't go crawling to the government and asking them to bail you out. Go back to the people that you gave the money to. Go back to the equity and debt holders and say, hey, we need to raise capital. And you're starting to see some companies start to do that, but it's just not happening fast enough. And so, I kind of wrap all of this up on the economic side and say, look, we're paying for the sins that people committed over the last decade in this bull market. And the thing that I continue to just beat over and over and over again to people is there's two key points. I don't know a single person who has multiple income streams that spends less than they make that is struggling right now. And isn't very helpful now in the moment, right? But it's a lesson learned for a lot of people that a strong balance sheet matters. So if you have multiple streams of income and you spend less than you make, you're likely to be able to weather situations like this. And so that's a lesson learned that people should take forward.
Well, we've always said that there's, so many Americans are just one paycheck away from not being able to pay their rent. And it's a crazy way to live. So when this all shakes out, currencies are going to fail. Certainly the dollar as we know it is going to go away in some time in the reasonably near future. Is it going to be the Chinese digital yuan that becomes the world currency? Is it going to be Bitcoin? Is it going to be the Fed coin? What do you think?
Yeah, so I actually think the exact opposite. I don't think the dollar is going anywhere. I think the dollar is going to continue to strengthen for a while. And what you'll see a lot of kind of the ancillary currencies or the developing market currencies. They're all going to start to fail. So if you look at, the Lebanese pound right now, it's getting absolutely hammered. It's down like 50%. And then it gets compounded. Not only is the currency falling, but then on top of that, there's starting to be some food shortages. So you're getting the currency falling, which immediately means that prices rise for food, for example. Then it gets exacerbated by it being a shortage of food. So food prices go even higher. On top of that, you then see capital controls where they're literally saying you can only withdraw so much money out of an ATM, and they're continuing to kind of minimize that number. And then you have to actually withdraw in the Lebanese pound, so you can't withdraw in other currencies. And then on top of that, people are waking up. So they realize they're sitting there and saying, wait a second, when I went to sleep last night and I woke up this morning, my net worth, the savings I have is now worth 10% less. You stole my wealth by devaluing this currency. So they get pissed off. And so you see them going into the street. They're literally going and they're attacking banks. They're protesting. They're even going after the central bank. And I think that that's kind of the canary in the coal mine of, I don't think that's going to happen everywhere. But what I do think is that we're going to see that happen more and more. And the reason we're going to see that happen more and more is because the dollar is going to continue to strengthen. These other currencies are going to get hammered. And people are going to realize, I have to get out of my currency. I've got to get into dollars, or they're going to look for something else that maybe is non-sovereign, like a Bitcoin. And so I think those are going to be the two kind of winners coming out of this.
How does the dollar strengthen when they just print shitloads of it? Like, it seems to me that, and then this whole oil crisis where we had negative, valuations of oil last week. How does the dollar get strong? Because I've heard other people say this, and I understand some of the theory, but I think a lot of people are going to hear this and go, wow, so they're going to throw $7 trillion printed out of thin air, and all of a sudden the dollars are going to get stronger. How does that happen? Because we've seen what's happened in, the Zimbabwe $100 trillion bill. Like, well, how is that going to work? What's the economics behind that?
Yeah, so there's two key components to this. So the first is the reason why the dollar is strengthening and kind of in the short term is because we're in a deflationary environment, right? So dollars are very valuable. They're scarce. People want them. So they sell all their other assets and they run for dollars. And that's kind of the liquidity crisis or liquidity trap that really we saw kind of towards the end of March and into the beginning of April. And so when that dollar strengthens, obviously what they're going to then try to do is print a bunch of money to systematically weaken the dollar, right? And you want to kind of weaken that dollar to stabilize markets and then provide relief into those markets or asset prices. The problem is that this deflationary environment is so deflationary, it's just going to eat up all that liquidity, right? And so they would literally have to print probably $10+ trillion to really have an impact. I don't think they're going to jump right to that. We probably eventually get to that, but it's going to take some time. And so in that time it takes to print that much money, you'll continue to see the dollar rise. The second contributing factor is it's all relative, right? So if you sit there and let's say I'm in the Australian dollar, for example, well, the Australian dollar actually went down 50% against the US dollar earlier this year. Now, what does that mean? That means that the US dollar is strengthening and my currency is getting weaker. So it's on a relative basis. And so when you look around the world, the US is printing, call it $2 to $3 trillion so far, but Japan alone printed about $1 trillion. They announced $1 trillion monetary stimulus plan. And so the rest of the world is also printing a bunch of money as well. We're likely to print the most, but on a relative basis, everyone else is printing as well. So it's not having the full impact as if just the US was printing and nobody else was. And so what you start to get is the developed countries will probably be okay for a while. The non-developed countries or the developing countries, they're the ones who are going to suffer. Their currencies will go. And those people basically are going to have faced with a decision. Do I go into a current, global superpower currency, whether it's the RMB, the dollar, or do I look for something like a Bitcoin that's non-sovereign and all I need is a internet connection in order to get access to it? And I think that's really where you're going to start to see a lot of adoption is in those other countries and geographies where the currencies are failing and people rush out. Lebanon's again a great example. Bitcoin right now is trading at like a 100% premium, right, in Lebanon because it's so sought after because their currency is failing. And so I think you'll see that in other countries over the next kind of 12 to 18 months as well.
Well, how about for the Western world then? The Bitcoin halving is coming up here in 11, 12 days. And it's we saw 9,400, I think. We're back down around 86. What impact do you think the halving is going to have in this current environment?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, the halving by itself is just a supply and demand, kind of exercise, right? Anytime that you take an asset and you cut supply or have a supply shock and demand stays the same or goes up, you should have a increase in price, right? So that's kind of a economics 101. You can literally go on YouTube and figure that one out. What I think is more interesting about the halving, though, is the macro backdrop that it's occurring on. So last June, I started writing a bunch about this idea that there were these economic alarms going off, right? And I basically said, look, I don't know where kind of the top of the market is, but you can just see these little things that are starting to show up that is saying we're near the top. And I think it was in July, I actually wrote something where I said, now feels like a good time to go to what I called a real risk mitigated portfolio, which was basically go 5% Bitcoin, 95% cash, right? And things like that. And so what we ended up seeing, or what I was talking about then, was we were going to get a very large interest rate cut. I didn't think we'd get to zero, but I thought we'd go pretty low. And then we'd see money printing, right? Quantitative easing. And that's really the two central bank tools that they have. I didn't think we'd print this much this fast for sure. And so what did we get this year? Rates to zero and $3 trillion or so printed. And that's all going to happen simultaneous to the Bitcoin halving. And so last summer, what I was essentially saying was the fact that those things are all going to happen around the same time. If you go back to 2008, 2009, when they cut interest rates and printed money, everyone ran for inflation hedge assets. So they ran to gold, right? Gold had gone down in 2008 about 30% over the summer of 08. It then went ahead and rallied almost 200%, ended the 08-09 crisis in 2011 at an all-time high. And so I think that's what's going to happen here, right? You're already seeing gold and Bitcoin, they're up, right? And they're trading up and they continue to trend upwards. People get scared of inflation. They run for inflation hedge assets. The difference is that Bitcoin's literally having the halving occur right now, which means that it would be the equivalent of 50% of gold miners shutting off production right when everyone wanted gold. Of course, that's going to drive price higher. And so in my opinion, this is just rocket fuel for Bitcoin. And I think we'll see a $100,000 price point by the end of 2021.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about that with Charlie Shrem, and how much of that is Bitcoin value going to 100,000 versus the dollar. They're printing so much of it that, the Bitcoin sort of keeping its sort of level where it is, keeping its value, because we're going to start seeing more and more dollars in circulation, which means it's going to cost me more to go buy bread. It's going to cost me more to buy meat. They're shutting down meat plants, so meat's going to become scarce. It's like maybe it's going to be all-time highs for commodities, right? And for things for us to buy, things that we need to eat. And so, I was going to ask you about that, about, gold and Bitcoin. It seems to me that gold should be way, way higher than it is because they're printing all this money and they have all that paper gold and all that paper silver that doesn't even exist. And it's the manipulation of these markets has just been so profound to me. So maybe give us that. So you think, Bitcoin could be 100,000 by the end of 2021. What do you think gold and silver could be?
Yeah, so I'm a pretty big fan of both Bitcoin and gold from a kind of structural standpoint. I own no gold, only own Bitcoin. But on the gold side, it's a stable store of value for the most part. So when we saw the market draw down back in March, Bitcoin drew down 50%, gold drew down about 12%, right? So it kind of did its job relative to other assets. It drew down the least. Well, that lack of volatility works against it on the upswing. Right. So with Bitcoin, when you go down 50%, that also means that when you go up, it goes up a lot. Right. And so with gold, it's going to go up. I think that it'll end up kind of $2,000 to $2,500, somewhere in that range over the next kind of, call it, 18 to 24 months. But I just don't think that you're going to see kind of 3 to 5x in the gold price.
But it doesn't seem to match like the amount of money that gets printed in circulation, and then the amount of fake gold paper money that there is, that it's never seen. Because if that was the case, like gold would be $10,000-$20,000 an ounce or something even higher than that.
What you got to remember is all of that liquidity is getting eaten up by the deflationary environment. So they've literally printed, $2 to $3 trillion. And look, I got the benefit of, with the podcast and stuff, I get to talk to the smartest financial minds in the world. And the one thing that they've really kind of changed my mind on over the last 6 months or so is this idea that even if we print trillions of dollars, it's such a deflationary environment that the deflationary environment is going to eat up that liquidity. And also it's going to eat up the liquidity from around the world as well. So all that printing that Japan does in other countries, that's going to all flow to the US because everyone wants dollars. And so what you end up getting is this strong dollar. Now, where I think that I've got a somewhat unique perspective, there's a couple other guys who I know who have a similar perspective, is that you can actually get a strong dollar and get a material increase in price in Bitcoin and in gold. Right now, relative basis, Bitcoin will appreciate much more on a percentage basis than gold will, but you can still get kind of strong inflation hedge asset growth and also a strong dollar. And it's really just because of what's happening with all of the money printing elsewhere around the world flowing into the United States. But investors kind of psychologically, they actually fear the inflation, even though it doesn't naturally occur. They fear it, and therefore they run for those assets, right? And so go back to 08, 09, people ran to gold. It went to an all-time high, but we actually never got the high degree of inflation, right? We never saw that, even though at the time, printing hundreds of billions of dollars was a big deal. You just never saw it. And so I think similar things going to happen here, where people almost like they fear what's going to happen rather than actually see it happen. And that'll still drive asset prices up, but you'll still have a strong dollar as well, which is, I don't think a lot of people were talking about that 6 months ago. I know I wasn't. And so kind of something I've changed my mind on in recently.
Well, you're allowed to do that, and we appreciate your analysis. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Off the Chain podcast. You have another show too, right?
Well, we recently changed the name of the podcast from Off the Chain to the Pomp Podcast. I started to bring on a lot more non-crypto folks. And the whole idea there is just if I can solicit, more non-crypto folks, and while they're there, then ask them about Bitcoin and kind of get them interested. It helps kind of expand the market a little bit, and it also pulls in other types of listeners, right? So
why wouldn't you just call it the Pompcast?
You and everyone, that's the $1 million question, man. I thought about
rebrand that. That's what I'm going to say.
It was on the it was on the list, but we ended up not doing it, and I think I'll be answering that question for a long time.
Man, we really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and we look forward to chatting with you more in the future, my man.
Absolutely. All right, you guys have a great night.
Rock
Appreciate
on.
you.
See ya, Anthony Pompliano. There he is, the soon-to-be renamed Pompcast. Maybe not. I don't know. Hey, want to give a quick shout out here to one of our sponsors, Digital Names. They've created a technology to convert 30 to 50 character complex wallet public keys into a common sense, human readable, easy to remember format. Digital Names does for e-wallets, sending or receiving any crypto, what domains did for the scaling of websites on the internet. So, think of GoDaddy for public keys. You got these long 30 character alphanumerics. That's ridiculous. I've got Joel.com for my wallet. Travis has got TW. So you can send me Bitcoin to my wallet address. Send Travis some Dogecoin. Get yours today. Go to our sponsor page on virtualblockchainweek.com. Click the blue sponsor button, and you will find a special offer for Digital Names right there.
Man,
up in your face.
$, letter T, letter W. People can send. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Travis, would you like to introduce our next speaker?
Yeah, so our next speaker is not only a great friend, but we've really enjoyed working with this guy and his team for the last few months. We met him when we were in Bali, and so the company is MobiPay, and this is an ecosystem that is really helping merchants and helping consumers. It's got this whole tie-in that's really cool. Really makes it easy to send money, and he's going to talk to us about this. MobiPay expediting the crisis relief with digital wallets. The one and only Brandon Bergeson. How are you, good sir?
Hey guys, happy to be here.
Excellent. Good to see you. It looks like you're in the Matrix there with this big white background.
Big white background. Well, I'm wearing my red Mobi shirt today, so I wanted a white background today.
All right, dude, let's talk about MobiPay. It's a digital wallet and it's more than that. Here's the question. How can digital wallets help during a global crisis like the one we're facing today?
Well, it can help in a lot of ways. I think some of the initial ways that we were looking at solving some of the things here in the crisis is payments. Number one, I know that Congress was looking at ways to distribute some of the stimulus checks. Mobi can certainly assist with that. Instead of printing out 300 and something million different checks for the $1,200 that went out, Mobi can help facilitate that, as well as some of the other payments in sourcing and helping with the personal protection equipment to help battle the COVID epidemic or pandemic that's going on right now.
Yeah, that's one of the things I find is most awesome about this is that, so say for example, if you're going to a merchant and you want to use crypto, but they don't accept crypto, one of the things that MobiPay allows you to do is to convert crypto into their gift card on the fly. That way they can end up accepting their own gift card instead of the crypto, which eliminates a whole lot of fees. And apparently you've had a tremendous success rate with everyone that you've pitched this to. Talk about that, because I find that like just it's such a cool feature.
Yeah. So the primary kind of technology behind Mobi is utilizing that network to facilitate payments and utilizing cryptocurrency for everyday purchases. So you can walk into places like Target, CVS, and choose your funding source of either Bitcoin, MobiCoin, even US dollars. And we actually have a built-in gateway and exchange feature. So we actually settle in fiat currency for our merchants.
Which is super cool. And, one of the big problems people getting into crypto have is setting up these wallets, right? It could be super complicated. And you've kind of stripped away a lot of that problem. How does somebody set up a Mobi wallet? What do they need to do?
Well, we specifically built out two different front-end products, one for the mainstream like banking consumer, and also one for the blockchain and crypto enthusiast. So you can go to wallet.mobipay.io and you can sign up for our beta. We're just finalizing our banking integrations now here for the US. And we have a couple more things to do, but we'll be ready to launch our private beta here in the next few months.
Yeah, that's pretty handy. We're big fans of that. I think that's really valuable stuff. And so tell us about, how does Mobi sort of help with maybe fraud during this crisis? And you say criminals, they prey on crisis. And so how does this help?
Well, what we're doing is I actually got pulled into a task force to help with some of the personal protection equipment like gowns, respirators, masks, and hand sanitizers. And there's a lot of fraud going on in that industry. So what we're doing is, as a thought leader, they pulled us into this task force to help solve some of these problems. A lot to do with some of the payment side and also validating trust and transparency by creating a marketplace to validate buyers and the sellers to making sure the material and the products that these hospitals, these governments are buying are actually the real deal.
It's so important. I mean, everybody talks about how, well, not everybody, some people believe that crypto is just, a place for thieves themselves, and it actually solves so many problems when you're dealing with blockchain and privacy, right?
Yes, absolutely. We built our token on the Stellar network, so our MobiCoin is built on Stellar, and we do solve for a lot of the problems. But we're trying to make it easy for the mainstream user to use. by utilizing blockchain technology and really focusing on the user experience.
And it's
one of the things
fast.
I really also love about this is the fact that it was just so cool when we met you in Bali. You're like, "What's your phone number?" I gave you my phone number, and you're like, "Boom, you have Moby now." And I was like, "What?" And you just go to your text, and it was like, "Oh, whoa!" And you had to click this thing, and then it created a wallet for you in the back end. Then it validated that was you, and then you set up a password, and then your wallet. It was this freaking easiest way that I've ever seen to set up a wallet. It's like, "Oh, what's your number?" Boom, I'll send you. Oh, I validate that it's me. Here it is. Here's your Moby.
Yeah, exactly. We can actually send digital assets, including MobiCoin. We just integrated Bitcoin, also the Lightning Network, and you can actually send cryptocurrency to a username, to a phone number, or to an email address. We're trying to eliminate the need for long, complicated strings of numbers and letters, which can be very cumbersome. And again, we're focused on the mainstream user and allowing them to use it without having all the complications.
Well, I think it's a key to adoption, right? Getting people, we like going down the technology rabbit hole, and we figured out how to, set up wallets and do NFTs and, move from one exchange to another. But for the regular person, they just want it to work. And I think that's just going to be a real key to mass adoption. As we close out, Brandon, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the retailers that you're looking to work with here to help onboard mainstream adoption?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple slides here I can quickly show you.
Okay.
Give me 1 second here.
By the way, as he's doing that, guys, MobiPay is giving $10 in their MobiCoin to the first 500 people who sign up for MobiPay's beta wallet. And if you go to virtualblockchainweek.com, click the blue sponsor button, they will be the second one on the page. You'll see the big pink MobiPay on there where there's a link for you to sign up. And so we recommend that you hurry up and do that. What do we got here, Brandon?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of quickly show you. So what we do is we make it easy for you to spend or send digital currency or cash anywhere in the world in seconds. And realistically, this is what our ecosystem diagram looks like. So we built a rewards, wallet, merchant POS, integrated with banking, exchange, and blockchain to create this universal payment and rewards ecosystem. So we solve for some of the largest problems, and the biggest one in the blockchain and crypto space is using for everyday purchases, and also bringing commerce to the unbanked. We have 3 different products. One is a mainstream consumer app, like I mentioned, and then another one is the MobiX, which is our digital asset wallet, and then MobiPay, which is our kind of merchant gateway. Here are some of the retailers that we're integrating with. We've already tested. And these are directly at point of sale or online purchases. So this is pretty significant. And what we've done is we have a user adoption strategy in place that incentivizes users to use the platform by giving them certain rewards that is unique than any other product that's out there.
That is pretty encouraging. I saw Auntie Anne's on there. It makes me want a pretzel, man. That's free advertising for them. I tweet them every time I see an Auntie Anne's. Like, most delicious, hot, fresh pretzels. Yes, I want to spend my
so not only that,
pretzels.
it's like they have those pretzels around the hot dog things, like those smoked sausages. That's so good.
Yeah, you're making me hungry now.
Right on. Well, the good news,
time,
Brandon, is you can go and eat because our time here is done. We're going to be here for another hour and a half. We got some great speakers coming up. Brandon Bergeson from MobiPay. Again, make sure you guys get your $10 in free MBX token. Go to virtualblockchainweek.com, click on the sponsors link, and you'll see it right there. You can't miss it.
We love you, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brandon. Take care. In fact, I'll do a quick show and tell here to prove how you cannot miss it. This is the Virtual Blockchain Week page. There's the blue sponsor button. Scroll, boom, MobiPay. And apparently we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but they're giving away 1 million MBX. So we'll probably do that at the end of the conference tomorrow. Somebody's going to win 1 million MBXs, or I don't know, maybe we'll break it down into
that is several. That's
I
several
see.
right
This,
there. That's some
here's
real
the giveaway. I'm sorry, my math is wrong. They're giving away 1 million MBX for 500 people, or it's going to be divided. So it's not a contest.
Exactly.
Thanks, Brandon. Take care,
Thanks,
brother.
guys.
Thank you now.
don't want to make it sound like he's giving away the farm. He's giving away quite a bit, but
I want to farm. I think I need a farm. I need to start learning how to garden.
Save some for the rest of us. Yeah, you should go grow you some cucumbers and some lettuce. You could be self-sustaining, Mr. Travis, right?
Grow me some cannabis that I can trade to folks who grew cucumbers.
One more shout out here for one of our sponsors. If you're seeking legal counsel with respect to blockchain securities and regulatory matters, including the issuance of tokens and digitized assets, as well as development, licensing, commercial use, acquisition, and the disposition of all manner of intellectual property, look no further than Zuber Lawler. Josh Lawler was on the show here. What was it, yesterday or the day before? It's all becoming a big blur to me.
He was on right before me. I think he was on Monday. And I don't know this, but I know that our business partner, Chris Pulley, and him have played some epic ping pong matches. So if you want to not only get some, good law advice or have a great ping pong opponent.
Nice. Go to vbw20.com/sponsors or click the blue sponsor button. Look for Lawler. That's it. It should be super easy for you guys to do. All right. Super excited about our next guest here. He's been on the Bad Crypto podcast a couple of times because he is the guy who understands the future of blockchain gaming. Now, this is not a small thing because we believe, as he does, that gaming is going to be one of the key on-ramps for people to have mass adoption of cryptocurrency. His name is Ryan Rodden. He's been a gamer his entire life and a digital marketer for almost 15 years. After discovering the rise of Bitcoin and blockchain tech, he quickly discovered the blockchain gaming space, which is barely in its infancy. And now he has a site called castlecrypto.gg. Welcome to Virtual Blockchain Week, Mr. Ryan Rodden.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
I love you're kind of like this mysterious dark hue right in there with the purple background.
Need some light on your face, my man.
Yeah, it's funny. I got a light right next to me. I don't know why I look so dark. Maybe it's because I'm wearing black. I got a black
cool.
hat.
Well, I think you've got a presentation to share with us.
I do. Right? So you guys want to jump right into it?
Yeah, go ahead and pull up your slides and share with us. I think there's a lot of gamers that are watching right now on DLive.tv and Theta.tv. Those are both blockchain-based streaming platforms that are very popular with gamers. So I know they're going to be real excited to hear this.
All right, let's do it. So can you guys see my screen?
We can.
Yes, sir. Looks
all
good.
Right, so I'm going to do a little presentation. It's going to be quick. I'm going to fly through a ton of slides. It's going to be called Blockchain Games Explained. Just a quick background. I've been doing digital marketing for about 15 years. I'm currently a consultant for Overwatch League, and I've also was a former Counter-Strike semi-pro back in the day. My gamer name is The Riz. So if you ever took a headshot from a guy named The Riz, it was probably me. This is going to be kind of like an explain like I'm 5 type of thing. Super simplified blockchain games for anyone that's never heard of it or doesn't really understand it. I'm going to try to break it down super simple. All right, so first we're going to talk about blockchain in general. Anybody that's familiar with Bitcoin, you already know what it is. It's essentially just a huge database that stores information. And the only difference is that it allows for a few important factors. Mainly it's uncensorable and immutable. Data cannot be changed. And ideally, no single person or entity owns the blockchain and it exists for all to see or use and is decentralized. So we have provable ownership and history, and this is going to be extremely important for blockchain gaming. For example, we have the statement such as John owns 3 Bitcoin, and he always will unless he spends it or sends it to somebody, right? We also have provable scarcity. So there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, for example. But if we take this into the gaming world, the statement might read something like, there will only ever be 50 golden swords, okay? Now we have a blockchain here. So this represents a bunch of blockchain stuff. And we have Joel and Travis here talking about checking the blockchain. And what people do, or if you're a game developer, what you can do is just reference the information that's available, right? So if you've ever looked at Etherscan or a Block Explorer, you can look and see what transactions are flying around, what addresses own what, essentially. So in this slide, again, we're going to kind of break it down super simple. In Bitcoin, you have something like John owns 2 Bitcoin in his Bitcoin address. And in the gaming world, this is also going to be an address on the blockchain, but it might be something like John owns 1 sword and 2 shields in his Ethereum address, which would be your wallet, right? Gaming items are typically tracked on Ethereum, EOS blockchain, that has similar functionality. We're going to be tracking transactions. So in Bitcoin, that statement would be John sent 2 Bitcoin to Sally. In gaming, it might be John sent 2 swords to Bob. So that could be in game, that could be out of game. But the point is that John has 2 things that are recorded on the blockchain. They're his, they're provably scarce, and he's sending them to Bob. So in a traditional game, many of you guys probably play them all the time. I mentioned one earlier, Counter-Strike, for example. You might buy the game, you play the game. In World of Warcraft, maybe you are exploring and you discover items, weapons, and gear. You use or equip those items while you're playing. But when you turn off the game or when you stop playing it altogether, you no longer use those items and weapons you found, right? They're kind of meaningless, quote unquote, outside of that specific game. But if we take a look at blockchain games, there's going to be one thing that's different. In blockchain games, you buy the game, or sometimes it's free to play, which a lot of them are, and even traditional games. You play the game, you find and discover items, weapons, and gear, just like you would in like World of Warcraft. You do the same thing. You use or equip those items while you're playing it. But the key point to understand here is that the item itself exists outside of the game, right? It's a thing that exists in the blockchain space. So when you turn off the game or stop playing altogether, you can use the item that you had potentially in another game. You could sell it on an external market. Many of you guys are aware of OpenSea is one you might use all the time every day. And in some cases, you can actually convert that item you got into a cryptocurrency. So you can actually do what's called melting and melting it down and getting a cryptocurrency. So imagine spending all your time in quarantine, grinding through World of Warcraft, getting all these swords and stuff, and then turning it into a cryptocurrency and buying a pizza. That can actually happen. So in traditional game examples, we might have a dungeon crawler like Diablo. We might have a first-person shooter like Counter-Strike. We might have a traditional MMO like World of Warcraft, and we might have a card game like Hearthstone. In these traditional games, game items are used only in their respective games, and a sword from World of Warcraft cannot be used in Diablo, right? You can't find a sword in one game and then go to another game and use that same sword. You have to play Diablo to use Diablo items. And in this case, this might be called the Diablo game universe, quote unquote. If we take a look at what Diablo is, it's a traditional dungeon crawler. So it might have items like swords, armor, and magic wands. A first-person shooter like Counter-Strike might have different types of guns, skins, and grenades. A traditional MMO like World of Warcraft might have swords, armor, and mounts. And a traditional card game like Hearthstone might have common cards, rare cards, or epic cards. So on the blockchain, what you can do is you can create items. Essentially, think of it, the word smart contract is thrown around and used. And what you're doing is you're submitting information to the blockchain. And you might define an item. There's certain standards. So for the nerdy people here, ERC 721 is one, ERC 1155 is another, where you define an item name, a picture, a quantity that exists. So you can define a one of one item. There's only one that exists. You can have 50 of 50, 1,000 of 1,000, and what address will own that to start. So that might be a golden sword. Here's what it looks like. Only 50 will exist. And who owns it to start? Me, because I created it, right? All right, so now let's go back to Joel and Travis. They're talking about the golden swords they just made, and they're submitting that to the blockchain. Okay, so they just created their game, and now they're creating items, and those items are actually going to be submitted into the ether, for lack of a better word here. So you can decide, we're going to make 50 of them, submit it. Now that blockchain stuff can then be distributed to people. Okay, so let's say one of those swords belongs to a guy, a gamer with the handle John1337. John wins a golden sword in a giveaway competition, and it is now stored in his personal Ethereum address. So just like as if he owned 1 Bitcoin, he now owns one of 50 golden swords. Okay, provable scarcity, provable ownership. In blockchain gaming, as compared to traditional games, items are officially and provably owned by a player. It's recorded in the blockchain for all to see, and game developers can decide to incorporate items into their game. So you might not even have a game yet, but you know that a certain sword exists, and you say, you know what, I'm going to allow people to use that sword in my game too. If we go back to the traditional game examples, we have Diablo, swords, armor, wands, Counter-Strike, guns, etc., World of Warcraft, swords, and cards. In the blockchain version of this, you might have the overarching stuff, that's recorded in a situation where John, for example, owns a golden sword, of which 50 exists. And then each of those games checks the blockchain to see what John owns. Okay, so if he plays a dungeon crawler, they might say, okay, he owns one of these golden swords, 50, one of 50. Same thing with the first-person shooter, MMO, and trading card game. What this means is that the game can actually interpret that golden sword however they want. They probably will make it a sword of some kind, but let's take a look. In the blockchain dungeon crawler, if John logs into that game and it checks the blockchain, he will have a golden sword to slay dragons. In a first-person shooter, he might log in, and because he has that item, he actually has a golden sword emblem logo on his character skin. In a blockchain MMO, he might log in and have the same sword he used here, different game. And in a blockchain trading card game, he logs in and has a specific card that's a golden sword that maybe offers a bonus. So essentially what's happening here is the game is checking the blockchain and saying, what does this person own and how can we use it? The game creator decides to add an item to the person's inventory whenever they want. It can be in any form they want, skins, weapons. In some cases, you can actually receive game items before games are actually even playable. We're going to talk about a quick example of that. By the way, guys, stop me if I'm going too long here. The game developer decides to incorporate what they created into the game. Here's a real world example. Engine, which is a big project in blockchain gaming, created this axe. This is just a picture of it, what it looks like. This axe was created in Ethereum before any game was actually made. They just made this axe just for fun, okay? It's stored in the Engine wallet, and it's got a weird name called Oindrasdane, whatever that means. And the Engine wallet is pretty cool because you can observe what the item looks like. Joel, I know you have one because we've talked about some items before, but this item was distributed before any game actually had it, which is a really cool thing, right? So if you think about player onboarding and just items, people want stuff, this is a cool way to do it. And what happened was a game called Forgotten Artifacts was created, which is a Diablo style game. And the developer, Cliff, knew that this axe existed out there. And so he said, if you sign up for my game, Forgotten Artifacts, when you log into the game, you're actually going to have that item in your inventory. So it goes from checking the blockchain, you see this axe, and then this is what it looks like in game, right? So this axe was conceived outside of a game, and now it's used here. And it's possible that you log into a different game and have the same axe.
I gotta interrupt just to say that is so badass and innovative. Keep going. Isn't that cool? I'd love that.
Yeah, so it gets even cooler because I'm about to show an example where like people play Minecraft and Engine actually, by the way, I'm not paid by Engine. I'm not here to promote Engine. I'm just using it because it's a applicable real world example. Minecraft, the game, is hugely popular. Everyone knows what it is, but I've never actually played it, but it's pretty cool. And they have a wooden sword that you can use in Minecraft. Engine has their own version of that. And the same guy from Forgotten Artifacts knew that people love wooden swords in Minecraft. So you can log into Forgotten Artifacts and use the Minecraft wooden sword. Okay, so we're hopping around different games using different items. This is typically called a multiverse. So we were talking about game universes earlier. Another final cool point is that a Twitch streamer, think about like PewDiePie, he's streaming to 1 million people. He's playing World of Warcraft and he defeats this like major boss dragon. He kills it with this epic sword. There's only one of one. And then he turns to his audience and he says, who wants this sword? The streamer basically can now send it to a specific person. And because it's a one of one, there's a traceable history. So only one person can own this epic sword. And you also know that PewDiePie used to own it. So you now have blockchain items being passed around in games. So this could be PewDiePie and this is some other dude. And this epic sword could be a thing that people want and use in a bunch of different games. So just to conclude here, blockchain games explained, we're talking about true ownership of a game item. A game checks the blockchain to see what a person has. Game developers can decide what to implement. And then this creates the idea of a multiverse. So that's it. That's my explain it like it's like you're 5. And if you guys want more info, check out Castle Crypto, follow us, and we're a member of the Blockchain Game Alliance.
Yeah, I mean, to see that actual real world example now, you know, that somebody made an item and then a game said, oh, we're going to pull that in. That's new. And that was the vision for what would happen. But now, do you think we're going to see a flood of people making cool stuff in these games, looking at them going, let's use that, let's not use that?
Yeah, I mean, you're already seeing a flood of NFTs. I mean, people know, a lot of people know what NFTs are, and essentially an NFT or some of these game items, weapons and stuff, they essentially are NFTs in some ways, especially if they're rare and scarce. So yeah, I mean, I think the idea of owning a thing, like imagine playing World of Warcraft and the sword that you find, or the one that you found 20 years ago is so rare and nobody else has it but you, and now you can go sell it for 20 grand, or you give it to somebody because they really want it, because it's like a thing that you own, right? Just like a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin that you own.
Mm-hmm. That's cool, man. Hey, you know what I'm going to do? Hang out for a moment, because our next guest is actually in the gaming space.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be cool maybe keep you in here. His name is Dr. Jesse Agrode Reich. He's a PhD chemist turned blockchain businessman, and he has co-founded a blockchain-based trading card game called Splinterlands. Splinterlands.com is the game, and it is the most played game in crypto right now. They're working on breaking through the crypto ceiling to take the game mainstream. And I want to welcome Dr. Jesse here. How you doing, brother? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Otherwise, we just do smoke signals and that stuff. Good to see you.
It's good to be seen.
Thought I'd leave Ryan in here too, in case he's, wants to chime in at all, because he covers the stuff that you're doing.
So he can silently judge you while you do your presentation.
I know him very well. I love Splinterlands.
I'm going to share.
Great
this
project.
This is my Splinterlands account here, because I've been collecting these cards. Why don't you kind of talk a little bit about what this is?
Sure. So you're looking at Splinterlands, and Splinterlands is one of the most popular blockchain gaming applications that exists in the world. Players come in, they buy cards, and then they can use the cards to level up, gain abilities, and then fight with one another. So what you're looking at now is the collection screen. And so these are all NFTs on the blockchain. And part of my talk tonight is explaining what NFTs are and how they interact here. But there's an entire ecosystem here that's about like fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, fighting, battling, prizes. And the talk tonight is focused on how we wrapped all of that together, and ultimately how all of that leads to the success that we've had, and how we're, one of the closest games out there to really breaking into the mainstream.
Man, go ahead and share. The stage is yours.
All right, so give me a second here. Let me go do a share screen. And
Ryan, you're free to hang if you want to, or if you need to go, whichever you want.
Ryan's cool as can be, so he's welcome if he wants.
All right, man.
It's a short presentation. So again, you're looking at Splinterlands. And I just wanted to get a little technical and just show you for a moment what the difference is. So this is a fungible token. So I wanted to show it in Excel, because Excel is basically, a really small database. When you just open up an Excel sheet, it's pretty easy. And here you can see I have dark energy crystals. That's our in-game currency. Alice has 1,000, Bob has 500, and Jim has 2,000. So all that we're keeping track of is who is it and how many do they have? And here you can see there was a transfer where Alice took 5 dark energy crystals and sent those over to Jim. So this is your standard fungible token. All you care about is kind of the name of the token, who owns them, and how much do they have. So that's what we track with a fungible token. And then you get into these non-fungible tokens, and now it gets a lot more complicated. So we're not just tracking who owns it, but now we have to track a lot more data. So you have what's the token, who owns it, what are the foil types, what edition is it from, what's the card ID, and then you could have other things like what's the level, what's the bonus, what's the speed, what's the attack or armor, like all of that data could live here. So now we know Alice owns this Lord of Darkness. It's a gold foil card. It comes from the Alpha Edition, and its card ID is YQQ Wimp. Or you have the Creeping Ooze, and Bob owns that. It's a standard foil card. It's a reward edition with Love You Baby as its ID. Yeah, those are just made up, but ideally what you figure out is that with a simple fungible token, name of the token, who owns it, and how many they own, when you get into a non-fungible, you're just tracking so much more data. It's not just who owns it and how many, it's what type is it? What color is it? What's on it? What's the bonus? So like if I send you a Splinterlands card, you don't just say, okay, you say, oh, cool, which one? And when you start asking which one, you're really getting into the heart of what is an NFT. So now we use these different types of tokens in our game. So we have tokens. This is our credit system. This is like a non-transferable token. We have dark energy crystals. This is another fungible token that you can win in the game and spend in the game. And then we also have our pack tokens. And so when you purchase packs, they start off just as tokens, and then you can choose to open them or not. So here, these are some of the fungible examples. Then, like you were showing, you have this whole card collection piece. So this is a marketplace, and you can go buy and sell these cards. Today, there were over 15,000 transactions from player to player for over $5,000. So there's lots of activity on our marketplace, and you can see these are the cheapest cards from the current edition. So I know that this one costs 2 cents. There's 17,000 of them in existence, and 382 of them are on the market. And I can dive into that, and I can see their card IDs, the price, and I can see that as I go deeper and deeper, the price starts going up. Another thing that we do is that in like a pack of Magic the Gathering cards, you have a lot of wasted cards. And so you say, there's 3 you want, you dump the rest. But here you need all those cards because each time that you get them, you can combine them. As you combine them, their stats increase, and you might get new abilities along the way. So, so those were some of the least expensive cards that are in this set. These are some of the most expensive cards. So some of these NFTs, in the other one, there were 17,000 of them. Here, this card only has 19. So this is from our Alpha Edition. It sold out over a year ago. So some of these cards are actually fairly expensive. So you showed your own collection screen, Joel, and you could see how many cards do you have. Some of these cards, this one is level 1, this one maxed out at level 8. You can see some different abilities. So this one has shield, dodge, this one has thorns. So all the cards have different stats that come along with them. And that's just part of your collection screen there. Now, one of the things that we've done is we combined both the NFT and the fungible tokens together. So the way that this works is that here are 2 accounts. Those 2 accounts were fighting one another, and Caraxes won. And when Caraxes won, the game paid them 60 dark energy crystals. And there's different reasons for why they got as many dark energy crystals as they got. But every single match that you win in our game using your NFTs, you can earn fungible tokens. So when you win a match, that's small. It's just one player that you're fighting. So in those cases, we give you small amounts of crypto. But we also have this entire tournament system where to date we've given out almost $110,000 to our players. upcoming in these tournaments, kind of over the next 2.5 weeks or so, we're giving away $3,000 to our players. And you can see that these things come in a range of tournament types. So some of these are really low level matches, like this one is for bronze cards from, and any type of card can be played as long as it's from the current edition. And then some of these more expensive ones might come from here you can only play at the highest level leagues. They have to be gold foil cards, but you can win $115 for being part of that tournament. So again, this kind of, we're going back to how we have both NFTs and fungible tokens in the same game. So, you know, players would come in and they'd buy their cards to level them up to have strong NFTs, largely so that they can win these fungible tokens. And then a question is, what gives those fungible token values? Well, in the game, we accept them for value, but we also place them on exchanges. So here's a small exchange called Steam Engine. That's one of 3 different exchanges that we put these things on. And you can see that, you know, here's a price. And today alone, there was $2,775 worth of these traded back and forth. You can see a candlestick graph of the day's price and what people are listing them for. Here's what they're willing to buy them for. Here's what they're willing to sell them for. And then ultimately, having set up this whole system that incorporates both the standard fungible tokens and the non-fungible tokens, we've had a lot of success. So just today, I guess this data is about a week old. There were 62,000 games that were played in a single day on the 24th. And then on that day, this is sort of in the middle of the season, so it's a little bit seasonal. You know, we've tapped out at about 4,200 real players in there are 4,200 accounts playing. On this day, the last day, we had about 4,000. And then some days when you get your rewards, there's rewards every 2 weeks. You can see that we're just shy of 5,000 accounts that are playing. And so
that's super popular, man. That is really a move towards mainstream adoption.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these games, I think there's a lot of fake volume on a lot of these, but you know, at any time that I go into a Discord or Telegram of some other group, there might be a bunch of people, but you know, I don't really see that many different accounts that are playing. You know, in our Discord, we have just over 5,000 people, and they're a very interactive bunch. And actually the Discord link is down here at the bottom of the screen. You can come in and join our Discord or Telegram. But you know, we just have a lot of interaction with our players, and we have a real community. And I just haven't really found that with a lot of the other games that are out there. So I'm just stoked by what we've been able to do. We started in May of 2018, and we've grown this thing pretty big. And I think we're really at the cusp of being able to break out of our niche market of just regular like crypto enthusiasts to really breaking into the mainstream market and showing them by playing blockchain-based games, not only you're not spending money, because when the money you spend in Hearthstone is just gone, but in this game, you're actually, you know, you stake it. And by staking it, you have some physical asset that you own that you can trade later, and in our case helps you earn.
Not only that, but for those of you that go to the sponsors page, if you're a VIP, you're going to discover that you're going to get airdropped a pack of cards from the game that's valued at $10. That's how much it costs for a pack. Now, you don't know, you might end up, you know, with a card in there that's worth a whole lot more than that. That's part of the VIP benefit this week. If you haven't upgraded yet, we encourage you to do so. That'll also get you into the VIP closing night party. And you could also see the link to Splinterlands on the site there. VBW20.com/Splinterlands is a direct link. Ryan and Jesse, thanks so much to both of you. You're coming in and talking games with us.
Yeah, glad to be here. And Ryan, it's good to see your presentation. That was fun, dude.
This is a great game, guys. Get in there, play it. It's tons of fun.
A lot of great comments about this on the YouTube. I saw people shouting out, saying how they love the game. I saw Ryan in there giving a shout out to you as well. So a lot of people out there seem to like this. Great stuff.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time. Thanks for what you're doing, and thanks for having me on.
Rock on. Thanks, guys.
And if you are listening to this on YouTube, smash that like button. Isn't that what they say? Or gently press it nicely. You don't want to maybe smash
Don't smash or break your keyboard.
Touch
Travis, would you share about our sponsor, Divvy, please?
Divvy. We love Divvy. Divvy is a global digital currency built on and secured by a digital decentralized blockchain platform that is owned and operated by the community. You can have these awesome masternodes. They got this one-click approach that provides user-friendly access to a integrated digital world. You can open up financial accounts, helping bank the unbanked. User-friendly access. It's pretty good. Make payments, send money, earn an income. And Divvy 2.0 is coming soon. There's also a WhatsApp channel partnership on the way where you're going to be able to send and receive the Divvy. Pretty cool. I mean, how handy is it to have a master node and just earn Divvy on the fly? And as I said, Divvy 2.0 is closer than ever. And there's going to be a Divvy Copper Masternode giveaway on Divvy's Twitter. So you're going to want to check it out. It's at Divvy, D-I-V-I project. And go over there, follow Bad Crypto and Divvy Project, retweet and tag some friends, post your Divvy address, and you can register for the most ambitious crypto conference in the world ever, in the universe.
Super awesomeness right there, all up in your business. Pretty soon, Justin Sun is going to be here to do our closing keynote. But first of all, we have somebody coming on who has been a guest on the show before. Her name is Jen Greyson. She is one of the top 8 women in crypto, founder of the Blockchain Sisterhood, CEO and founder of the Co.co, the Airbnb of office space. She's an international speaker, a published author. She speaks on women's issues, the intersection of AI and blockchain, and how women are the solution to the adoption of cryptocurrency. I was going to say, until I brought her on, I didn't know what color her hair was going to be today, but now we can see. Welcome, Jen Greyson.
Hi, how are you guys? No, the pandemic has taken us all out. I have no green hair.
Well, not only is it not green, but it's longer.
I know, it's really long.
It's growing out. It looks great. Yeah. You look beautiful.
It does look great. I do want to say, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but on the virtualblockchainweek.com main page, I took the liberty to change your hair to blue.
Which I appreciate. Yes, I did.
Because it was on brand. Green was not on brand.
It's
so
true.
I appreciate your hair as pink before and orange, and so I was like, she's not going to care if it's blue.
Exactly. Good call. Good call.
Well, I know you've got a talk for us today on homeschooling the masses, teaching blockchain during a pandemic. So we're eager to hear what you have to say, and we're going to turn it over to you.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
My big question for everyone is, how many people did you invite to this week for this very special virtual blockchain conference? And the pandemic has definitely been a disruptor. I think we've all kind of talked about that a little bit. And as I've been trying to figure out how to homeschool my 7th and 5th graders through online schooling, which I definitely wasn't prepared for, it's made me think about what education really means and what I'm finding and what I think a lot of us have thought about with blockchain and digital currency and Bitcoin and all of those new technologies that we've been really excited to see exploring. We've thought about what that means in the pandemic and the coming future and the new normal that most of us want. And a lot of us have been asking for educators to come in and really look at making sure that we're teaching the masses what's happening and what's going on. And when I look at the speakers that we have in this week, all of the speakers that are here with me this week, they are so much more knowledgeable than I am. Brittany and Brock and Tron and Caitlin, they have such a massive knowledge base that I don't have. But when I think about the people in my neighborhood and the parents of the kids that my kids go to school with, I know more than they do about some things. So as we think about homeschooling and what that's done for a lot of us as parents, what I've learned is we only have to be one step ahead. We only have to know a little bit more than those other people. And as we want to shift into this new normal after the pandemic, we know that blockchain and digital currency are solutions for a lot of the aspects that we see happening. when we see our neighbor down the street who is worried about their business closing, or who isn't getting a stipend check and it's taking forever to get there. And we see a lot of the friction that we know could go away from blockchain. Those are amazing opportunities for us to be educators and for us to start homeschooling the rest of our neighbors, the rest of the 90% that doesn't know as much as we do. And so if we compare ourselves to the other big speakers in this space, the thought leaders, the people that are out there building the apps, the companies that are doing all of these big, amazing things in blockchain, sometimes we don't think about the impact that we each have as individuals. So when I ask you who you invited to this week, this was a great opportunity for you to educate someone in your circle, because they didn't have to fly to LA, they didn't have to fly to Miami, they didn't have to fly to Portugal. All they had to do was hop on a Zoom conference. So you had all week to look at the agenda and pick out one, just like you would a Netflix, and that you could share with someone in your circle, whether that was a sister or a neighbor or somebody who's been asking you about Bitcoin, or who's been making fun of Bitcoin, or who doesn't understand how any of it works. That was an opportunity for you to educate. And as we think about that going forward, we've all kind of been waiting, at least I know I have been, I've been waiting for somebody else to step up and start educating the masses and to bring them along, because after all, most of us had to learn it on our own. I had to learn it out of a fire hose. Most of us have all had that experience, but we've done it with great gusto because we see the value of this technology. We see the value of this community. We see the value of open source and the way it's shifting how business gets done. So as we move into this new normal post-pandemic, I want you to think about who it is in your circle tomorrow to invite people. Go through tomorrow's agenda, look at one that you can share with someone, invite people to come. As you think about the meetups that are going to start happening as we shift into opening up our countries and nations again, think about who you want to invite, because you get to start being the educator. And even though you think that you might not know enough to be an educator, you do. You know more than the masses out there. When I have to teach my 5th and 7th graders geography and multiplication tables, I only have to know a little bit more than they do. Right now, with technology and everything that we have going on, there are amazing ways to start educating. If you even want to take it one step further than inviting someone to a virtual conference or a meetup, you can go to Anchor FM and you can do a podcast, which is crazy simple. You don't have to have any tools. You can go to Kajabi if you want to do courses. You can, obviously, there's YouTube. So there are a lot of ways to start educating, even within your little circle. You can start a meetup. You can invite people to things. So what I really want everyone to start thinking about is, what are ways that you can start impacting people? You know more than most of your friends about whether that's digital currency or blockchain or Bitcoin or wallets or the halvening. There's a way somehow to start these conversations, start educating them. One other thing that I want to say is, while we all have lots of time, while we're at home, and a pandemic seems like the perfect time to create a new app or to start a new company or build a new blockchain or start educating people with a new podcast, we're also going through something that is new and unfamiliar. And so we also get to be kind to ourselves, and that gets to be another way that we get to educate as well. And we get to make sure that our friends are taking care of themselves and that they're not beating themselves up because their new app isn't ready to launch when they thought it was going to be, that their raise isn't ready as soon as they wanted it to be, that the blockchain is taking longer to build. We get to be kind to ourselves during this. And I know that we all have amazing skill sets and amazing ways to educate. And so we are the educators that we've all been waiting for. So start teaching someone and invite someone tomorrow to the homeschool, not to the homeschool, to the blockchain conference. And if you guys have any questions, I'm gonna bail out early, but that's it.
Well, we appreciate that. I'm just curious, before you do go, what you're seeing some others do in the space to facilitate this type of remote learning.
The courses have been the biggest thing. Both YouTube videos about even simple things of how to do a wallet, what is Bitcoin, these really simple blockchain 101 things. So YouTube videos, I've seen a couple people start courses, and that's all it really takes to get started.
Now, are you seeing, when it comes to homeschooling in general, are you seeing like we had somebody on earlier today that was talking about homeschooling and how, you know, they would have different teacher or different parents teaching certain subjects, but they'll go around on Zoom, and, you know, that way it's like not one parent teaching all subjects, but like they're actually doing some group learning. Is this something that you're experiencing and seeing as well?
Okay, I don't have that resource at all. And if there are any parents who want to help me out with geography or US history, I would gladly take some help. But that would be great and makes a lot of sense in the sense of like just community learning, and we all have different skill sets. And so that makes a lot of sense. I love that.
Maybe reach out to your students' teachers and see if they can't help facilitate some of that. That might be a fun way to do it.
I'm on it. That would be fantastic.
Perfect. Jen Greyson, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today. We appreciate
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely.
That was great. Thank you.
She brings heart to Virtual Blockchain Week. And
that's true.
We need that in blockchain for sure. I want to give a shout out to our title sponsor, Joff Paradise and CryptoMaticATM. 2 CryptoMaticATM machines are going to be given away before this conference ends. 1 tonight after our closing keynote, and 1 tomorrow after Don Tapscott's closing keynote. You have to be registered to be eligible to win. Go to virtualblockchainweek.com, click register so you could do that. If you're a VIP, you actually get 5 chances to win this.
Cinco
de chances.
Very good. Your Spanish is amazing. I didn't realize that Virtual Blockchain Week was going to be simulcast in Espanol.
Well, you know, I was born on Cinco de Mayo.
That is true. Cinco de Jolo.
Yeah. Travis, are we ready?
I was born on 16 de Mayo.
That's fantastic.
16th.
Are we ready for our big closing keynote for this day 4?
I believe so. This is exciting. Yes.
I'm gonna change my picture back here and show his face. There he is. We got him. And you want to do the intro, or should I?
I'll change my image here real quick for sure. So last night was really amazing. Our final keynote, we had the founder and CEO of Binance. Today, we have the founder and CEO of Tron, but not only Tron, they've acquired BitTorrent. They've acquired Steam recently, which I hope he chats about that in his presentation. And Tron is one of the world's top 10 crypto projects, and a lot of dApps are being built on that, especially their Web 4.0 blockchain dApp platform. In 2017, Forbes named him in the top 30 under 30 in Asia, and Forbes 30 under 30 China. So he's been doing some amazing stuff. Not only that, he's a protege of the Chinese tycoon Jack Ma, who created Alibaba. He's got a master's degree. I believe he did some stuff with Ripple early on as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the Virtual Blockchain Week, the one and only Justin Sun. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Justin.
Great to have you on the show.
Good to see you, man. I know people are eager to hear from you. We're actually streaming live a number of places, and one of those places is dlive.tv. So you're talking to your tribe tonight.
Thank you so much.
Well, we'll let you go ahead and share your thoughts. We'll disappear, and you could take it away.
Yeah, thank you.
You had some presentation you wanted to share. Is that correct?
No, just myself.
Okay, so we're just gonna have a conversation.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
fine too. As we've been looking forward to speaking with you. We just thought that you had something prepared. So
yeah, that'd be a hard presentation. He's like, where'd you guys go? I thought we were doing an interview.
So I just discovered just a week or so ago that Tron actually owns DLive TV. When did that take place, and where do you see the future of blockchain and online streaming?
Yeah, sure. I think we finished the acquisition at the end of 2019. So and also definitely I see a lot of the potential of the blockchain live streaming. Our data have been double since 2020. So right now, DLive reached to 500,000 daily active users and above like 4 million monthly active users. And we expected the data to grow at the end of the year. I think we will be like reach to like 1 million daily active users. So definitely I'm very optimistic about the future.
It's very interesting. Now, we would be remiss if we did not talk about this whole Steam thing, because it's really interesting because, you know, in the crypto world, everyone's thinking, okay, Steam's decentralized. How can somebody acquire something that's decentralized? And then also maybe talk about the scenario of how a lot of these exchanges actually use their customer Steam that was being held on the exchanges to vote for, you know, you to be able to take over Steam. If you could maybe talk about that, because I think that our audience has a lot of questions about that, because I think it's probably the most controversial thing in 2020 besides the coronavirus.
Yeah, sure. First of all, we don't think the acquisition is the right word to describe the partnership between Tron Foundation and Steam and Steamy Inc. And at the beginning, we didn't use the word acquisition. We will more talk about the partnership. So so basically, is the Steamy Inc. is the leading enterprise in the Steam ecosystem. So basically, you can see Steamy Inc. take a certain percentage of the tokens inside of the Steam ecosystem. And also Steamy.com is one of the most important apps in the ecosystem. So that's the like more like the relationship. So like we can take for example like Bitcoin like example. Like Bitcoin, like Steam is definitely decentralized, but one of the like company like they hold lots of the like Bitcoin, right? So we can take like Satoshi Inc. So they hold some of the Bitcoin. So that's like the only like the relations between the like the company and the blockchain. So definitely we won't like use a word like acquire like blockchain to describe the situation. So I think it is more like a partnership between the Tron and the Steamy Inc. And the Steamy Inc. definitely have some influence on the Steam blockchain because they are running one of the largest dApps blockchain. So that's for the first thing. And then the second thing I think is, so basically the first of all, when Steam Inc. get into the Steam ecosystem, so we find out our assets was frozen by some malicious actors. So you can just like take like a Bitcoin as the example. Some, but I'm not sure this the same thing gonna happen in the Bitcoin world. But you can just take like some of the malicious miners. They target very specific on some certain of the users in the Bitcoin world. For example, like the people don't agree with those miners and Satoshi himself, and try to freeze all the basically they already did it. So they freeze all the assets of those users. So that's why we collaborate with the exchange to get those funds recovered. Basically, that's like the thing we are doing here. So that's why we believe we are doing the right thing. not only because we respect the sanctity of the private property. So that's like one of the bottom line I think is very important in the blockchain. So that's why we just recover the funds. That's like the only thing we do. We didn't do anything other than that. So you can see it's like we collaborate with some third parties to refund all the funds for the users, which already guaranteed by the secret key they hold, right? The reason why they hold their secret key is they want to get full access to their funds. So that's like the only thing we do. And after that, we leave all the decision like made by the Steam community. So right now, Steam
They still have a voice. They're able to share what they want, and it's not wasn't really a takeover. It's not Justin Sun's Steam now. It's still the community. So it just pissed off some people, though, didn't it?
Exactly, definitely. We have like a very good track record. Like Tron community also run by themselves, so we just help them, right? So our position is more like we are willing to help, right? So and they can just run on their own. So we are in the position to help the community grow, right? Just like every crypto community in the world.
Well, one of the responses of the community has, been to support the hard fork of Steam that came out, Hive, right? And Hive has really taken off. Certainly there's a little bit of backlash there. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
So first of all, we respect people's rights to fork, like Ethereum Classic, and also like Bitcoin Cash, right? So there is already a lot of the fork in the industry. Which we didn't agree is when Hive do the hard fork, they actually frozen and take all the funds of those people who disagree with them. So not only us, but also like all the community in Korea and China, they just take their funds in the Hive blockchain. So it's not like a 100% like hard fork. And what they do basically is still, from my perspective, I can like give you like an example. It's like you doing like a Bitcoin Cash hard fork, but in the new hard fork, you take all the Bitcoin communities don't agree with the hard fork, or they just don't agree with you. So you take all their funds in Bitcoin Cash. I just don't believe this is the right thing to do.
I want to maybe chat like from way back whenever you got started, because I find that it's interesting that you've been mentored by Jack Ma, who is the main entrepreneur in China. Like when was the time frame when you were being mentored by him, and was cryptocurrency, is this something that you and him like talk about, and is that something that they're sort of thinking about with Alipay to sort of loop some of that stuff in? Because I think that you have a unique connection with him, and he's one of the most powerful entrepreneurs in the world. And how does the crypto ecosystem going on in his mind? Do you have any conversations with him around that?
Yeah, definitely. So the mentorship is back to like 2015. So at that time, I was just in like very early days of develop my cryptocurrency company. So back then, it's like 5 years ago already. So time flies, it's five years ago. So when I first get into the Hupan University, I think the university is mainly about the entrepreneurship. Jack Ma wants to give back to the community and the society after he gets his company listed in New York Stock Exchange. So he started to shift some of his time to educate the new like entrepreneurs and to make sure they understand how to make their enterprise successful. Because Jack Ma always says entrepreneurship itself is charity. So if you can be like a good entrepreneur, it's definitely you benefit lots of the people. So that's why he started Hupan University in the first place. And I think Jack Ma is also one of the the earliest people to see the potential of the blockchain and the cryptocurrency. Because back to 2015, I'm already doing crypto stuff, and Jack Ma admit that, and I got admission to the university, which is already telling the truth, because the university is very strict standard. There's only like 30 people can get into the university, and I was the
wow, 30 people per a year or per semester?
Yeah, per year, yeah. Wow. And I was the only crypto people at that time. So that's why I believe they definitely think blockchain and cryptocurrency has huge potential. And around 2016, I arranged the first tour for the old Hupan entrepreneurs to visit lots of the crypto companies. We visit Ripple, and also we visit Draper University, a lots of the meet Team Draper, and lots of the people are like active in the cryptocurrency world. So I arranged like a tour for them. So that's like why I believe like 2016 they spent also some of the time on exploring the crypto and the blockchain. And after like 2017, when the crypto really takes off, I also have like because at that time, you know, when the cryptocurrency take off, there gonna be a lot of the controversial like articles, and everybody is talking about blockchain, not like in a very positive way, I will say, in 2017. So that's why I also have like a conversation with Jack Ma, and he's still up for the cryptocurrency and the blockchain. Not only him, but also like Shi Yuzhu, he is also like one of the mentor in Hupan University. They will always say like, you need to give like innovation a time, you know, as long as they didn't like break the law, you know, you need to allow them to explore themselves, to do the experiments, you know, that's like the cost of the innovation, you know. So that's why I think he has always been the one who really like helps the crypto community and blockchain to grow in China. So I definitely believe he has lots of the very positive impact on the blockchain.
You mentioned the word controversy, and you seem to be a bit of a lightning rod for it in the space. And there's a number of reasons for that. But one of them is around Tether. It's been noticed that a curious amount of Tether has been issued on the Tron blockchain. So the question is, what are some of the benefits of the partnership for Tron and Tether respectively? And then more specifically, what advantages does Tron offer over other platforms that have USDT issuances?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So recently we just passed like $1 billion. I think this is a huge recognition from the crypto community. I think Tron has several benefits. The first advantage is Tron transaction is free. It's completely free, and also at the same time we don't have the traffic jam like Ethereum and Omni recently like. They always have this kind of the traffic jam, so you can't like send your transaction in a fast speed. So the Tron transaction is always instant and free. This is like extremely important for the traders, because you know when they trade the cryptocurrency, especially in the bull markets like yesterday, and in the like bear market in the March like 12th, like every second counts, right? So if they can like credit their funds into the exchange like after like 30 minutes, the price is changed like dramatically, maybe like already like $10 down, or like 10% down, or 10% up. So that's why I think this is extremely important. If we have like a stable coin, it's instant and free. So that's why I believe lots of the market makers and the traders these days has been adopted like TRC20 USDT, and I believe at the end of the year, we can occupy at least the 50% of the USDT market share. So that's why you can see the Tron market share has been always grow. So that's why I believe we're gonna surpass like Omni, and at the same time will be like 50-50 to Ethereum. So I think Ethereum will be suitable for those person don't care about speed of the transaction and how long they're gonna get their token into the exchange, but they may care about they can use the USDT inside of Ethereum network, right? So Ethereum has like a DeFi ecosystem too. They can use like USDT to interact with like other protocol and dApps. But if they really care about interact with the exchange and they want to credit their funds like earlier, and they really want to like trade instantly, I think Tron will be their best choice.
Right on. So I want to ask about the amazing lunch with Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
Right. So Joel and I were going to go to San Francisco. We were going to be part of that whole festivities, and then you had to cancel at the last minute. So I was sort of curious about that. So what was the real story about why you had to cancel that? Because it said, was you pressured to cancel that, one? And two, whenever you did meet with Warren Buffett, what was the best advice that he gave you, and maybe his real thoughts around crypto? Because he said he thinks it's rat poison, he thinks it's horrible. You know, maybe talk about that meeting and that first, because we were so excited, and then he canceled. You were sick or something, or maybe the Chinese government told you had to not meet him yet, or something. What happened with all that?
Sure, definitely. So first of all, I believe the lunch with Warren Buffett is definitely like one of the most important moment for the crypto community, because even though I know lots of the people in the crypto community, they might not like Warren Buffett, because of he always calls like cryptocurrency is like rat poison or something. But I always believe time will change like everybody's opinion. And the most important things we can change, like what Warren Buffett believes is our achievement and accomplishment, right? So definitely I believe like even like in 2019, Warren Buffett already like realized the value of the blockchain. And at the year of 2020, when we talked to them, I definitely think he already become like 50-50. He recognized the valuation of the blockchain, but at the same time, he is still like very hesitant about the cryptocurrency. So that's why I believe it's definitely, I mean, maybe next year we're gonna see like more achievement, and definitely we can see he's changing his idea.
So what about the first part of that question? What happened initially to the meeting that was supposed to happen and then got delayed?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Let me change to like virtual background.
Oh, nice. All right. Northern Lights.
Yeah, totally. So basically, I believe first of all, this is
Whoops, you lock up on us there for a second.
About the like the cancellation, but definitely this is only because I'm getting sick. But also I want to say is because at that time I also believe the Warren Buffett lunch become a little bit controversial because the people sees like the opinion difference between crypto community and the Warren Buffett, and also at that time I think it's kind of like out of control. So that's why I think the postpone is also have good impact on like cool down a little bit, and eventually we start the launch and talk with Warren Buffett and get lots of the feedback from him. So definitely, I believe the whole thing is very positive.
There's a little bit of a public feud going on between you and Vitalik Buterin of Ethereum. He's been very straightforward with what he thinks of some of the projects you've been involved in, and how do you respond to him and other critics who would say that your business model basically is purchasing existing networks and then looking to integrate Tron into those platforms rather than innovating your own unique applications and services?
Yeah, totally. First of all, I definitely respect Vitalik's work and his achievement in the crypto community. I think he's one of the most important person in this industry. So I definitely respect everything he do. But also at the same time, I believe Tron take a different approach compared to Ethereum. So we are more focused on the user experience side of the things. You can, for example, you can see the USDT experience, right? So when we are trying to launch USDT, we take USDT more like a consumer product. So we want to serve the traders, we want to serve the market makers, and we want to serve everybody is using USDT to have the best user experience. So that's why we started Tron in the first place. So Tron is also compete with Ethereum in the app ecosystem. So that's the thing we do. You might notice recently we reached the partnership with Samsung. So we also provide a distribution channel for the dApps. Every dApp developers, they can feel free to distribute their apps into Samsung Galaxy Store. So actually Samsung featured all the Tron stuff yesterday. So that's why I think that's the same different approach we are taking. So we want to be more product focused and want to be more business focused, and we want to serve our community as a customer and provide them with the best experience and the most professional services.
Now, I got to say this, BitTorrent has been something that I've been a fan of for many years. And then you guys acquired BitTorrent a couple of years ago. What is the long-term version or long-term vision of Tron plus BitTorrent? How are they going to work together because with the media sharing aspect? Yeah,
definitely. So some people because BitTorrent is very popular since 2003, early 2000s. So some of the people may think BitTorrent is kind of obsolete or BitTorrent is out of time. But I want to share some data here today. BitTorrent actually is very popular these days, still among the, even not considered the decentralized world, but also as an internet product is still very popular. Our DAU and MAU and also the daily active users in the whole BitTorrent ecosystem, not only BitTorrent and uTorrent, but also everything has been very popular since the early days. And after COVID-19, our data actually increased 30%. Is very huge if you considering the user base of BitTorrent. So basically we are adding up 30 million of the monthly active users in COVID-19 period. So you can see the user base is still a very large user base. And also the same time, after we acquire BitTorrent, I think first of all, we have two objects. So first of all, we invest a lot of the money and the resources into BitTorrent ecosystem and combine the BitTorrent ecosystem with the crypto ecosystem. So we offer like BitTorrent speed, BTFS services to our customer. So we're gonna roll out to a large percentage of our users in 2020. So I think in 2020 you can see the majority percentage of our existing user base, which means 100 million active users, they will start to use crypto as a services to accelerate their downloading in the BitTorrent ecosystem, and also to spend money for the decentralized storage. And also the second part, we has been like invest a lot of the money is web experience. So lots of the people has been get used to use BitTorrent as a client in the Windows and the Mac. But this year, the majority of our energy is to roll out uTorrent Web and BitTorrent Web. So it's like it's kind of like Netflix and YouTube kind of the user experience.
I gotta tell you, I don't like that at all. I prefer to have it as a client, so then I can monitor how much of the energy it's using when it's tapped into the browser. It seems to be more of a wonky experience. I think that maybe some of the old G's who've been using BitTorrent for years prefer to have it as a standalone browser, so you can monitor it and see how much of your energy it's taking. When you put it as on the web, then I'm using Chrome, and Chrome is already a resource hog, and so now you're making Chrome worse.
So basically, we definitely has lots of the job to do there, to improve the user experience, to make like everybody like the product. Actually, we do a little bit like launch in the Mac this year. So we didn't support like clients anymore, and we offer like uTorrent Web and the BitTorrent Web on Mac. From the data we collect from the Mac, actually, I believe the user like the product. So they are very active on the Mac product. But definitely, I mean, on the Windows, we will keep the both options. So if you don't like the UT Web experience, you can switch back to the clients and use it. That's like no problem. But also, I believe the web is the future is for several reasons. First of all, web is easier to update in the first place. So it's way easier to update the clients, and it's way easier to have like one user experience for everybody. And also the second thing, yeah, is also web is very easy to do the streaming services. So you can see today's DLive, and we are also going to like launch decentralized live. We have been like also working pull lots of our time out. So I think you will see in the future decentralized live streaming services will also be available.
That does make sense. That does make sense. Tying in BitTorrent with DLive and creating decentralized streaming. That makes sense to me.
Well, just as we get ready to wrap up here, let's just talk about the future. What do what's next for Tron and for the crypto space in general?
Yeah, definitely. I think close to the halving. So right now we are we're seeing a lot of the momentum, right, from the crypto community. And also at the same time, I believe this year DeFi is one of the like most important things. Recently, we are also focused on. For example, we collaborate with Just Network to launch the decentralized platform on Tron. So these days, you can easier to take TRX as a collateral, and also put to get USDJ as a stable coin. So we are launched on the May 5th on Poloniex. So everybody can go to the Poloniex to get JST token. And also we airdrop all the JST token to the existing TRX users. So if you want to get JST tokens, you can just hold TRX.
Is that JST, the Justin Sun Tron token?
So it's not like named after me. So We just name it Just Token. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, Justin, we appreciate your time tonight. Thanks for joining us for Virtual Blockchain Week. I know you've got a busy day ahead of you. We'll let you go run with it.
Yeah, I think Cointelegraph is going to interview you, I believe, afterwards. Yeah, no?
I don't think there was.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
you got time for them? Great.
Perfect.
We'll make sure you got the link for that then. Thanks, Justin.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. Well, boy, there you go. The keynote to wrap up day 4, but we're not quite done yet, because in just a moment, we're going to give away one of the Cryptomatic ATM machines. First, want to give a shout out to one of our other supporters and sponsors of this live event, Silo. They are actively deploying the decentralized future through the Silo network. It's a robust mobile-first peer-to-peer decentralized communication protocol designed to support powerful D-apps. It's a digital wallet meets private messenger combined with military-grade encryption, so your communications are truly secure. Silo.io is the site. You can find all special offers for this event from all of our sponsors. If you go to our page at virtualblockchainweek.com, click the big blue button. When you click the big blue button, magical things happen, and you see all of the sponsors, media partners, and influencers that are help bringing this together. We please request that everybody go take a look at this, click that blue button, and check out all the various offers that our sponsors and partners have for you. Learn more about them. You'll find that there's some free cryptocurrencies in here, some special offers just for attendees of Virtual Blockchain Week for this week only. And I know that they appreciate your support, and so do we.
That is true. And all right, so is Joff on his way in?
Yeah, we're gonna bring him in a moment. Listen, as cryptos are quickly becoming part of everyday life, it's creating demand for a convenient solution. We need convenient solutions for all this to exchange between cryptos and cash. So we're going to bring back our new friend and our title sponsor, Joff Paradise, with CryptoMaticATM. What's happening, Joff?
Hey guys, how you doing, man?
Oh, I love the fancy new background there with all the ATMs and terminals.
Well, I had to step it up a little bit,
It's great to see you again. You've had a couple of awesome presentations. You got another one tomorrow, right? Did you final one?
I do indeed.
Excellent.
Future of ATMs, the future, what we see is going to be the futuristic program. And then we're also going to release something that I think that's never been done in the ATM world. And we're gonna share that tomorrow with everyone. So make sure you tune back in tomorrow. And I would love to do one real quick thing, guys. I'd love to give a shout out to all of the work that's going on behind the scenes. Chris and his team and all the diligence that they're doing back there behind all of you guys, and how you guys make it look easy and make it look so good, but that people don't realize just how hard those people in the background are actually working. And so I just want to give a shout out to all those people and say, hey,
amen.
thank you guys.
Yeah, Erin, our producer, I think she's been
Erin's
working
amazing.
Yeah, we have a great team. Chris Pulley, the rest of our team, great stuff. Thank you for giving them a shout out. They appreciate that.
Absolutely.
They're awesome. We appreciate them so much.
So,
and we appreciate you guys for all this hard work. I mean, come on, this is not easy to do either, and all the speakers. Oh my gosh, Justin was just I was blown away hearing him speak, and all the other speakers. It's just been an amazing conference, and I am so honored and humbled to be amongst all these people.
Well, thanks. And we've still got one more day of it tomorrow.
I can't wait.
We'll talk about the roster for that here in just a moment. But right now, what we want to do is we want to go ahead with your assistance and give away one of these Cryptomatic ATMs to one of the well over 3,000 people that have registered to win one. We'll give one away now, and then one at the end of the conference tomorrow. So let me pull up. Do you want to talk about that ATM here and set the stage, and then we'll do the drawing?
Sure. We're going to give away, if you go to CryptoMaticATM.com, that's CryptoMaticATM.com, you can actually see the ATM that you'll be receiving. It's called a Cobra economy model, economical, you could say right there, eco. You'll see it there. It's an awesome machine. It weighs about 97 kilos, and you can pick the lights, which is really cool on the side there. You can pick blue, red, green, different LED lights.
I'm clicking on them. It's not changing color.
Okay, well, when we, I wanted to let people know also that when we help you handle your shipping, and of course shipping is not included, but we will help you set it up. We'll help you do the logistics, and we'll help walk you through all of the setup for the machine. It's almost a plug and play. I mean, you literally just plug it into the Ethernet, or you get it on the Wi-Fi, on the internet. You can use a SIM card with it, or a LAN cable, and then you just plug it into the electric, 110 volt if you're in the United States. Of course, if you're outside the US, you need to let us know. So
I have a question. I don't think we've ever discussed this. So say somebody won one and they wanted to upgrade to one of the other models. Is that a possibility for them to do? I know obviously pay a difference, but so if they did want to get one of those other ones, they could, and you'll work that out with them.
You bet. We've worked that out, and we'll even work a little payment plan out with them. So they don't have to pay it all at one time. I'll work it out with them.
Let me ask one more question here. So somebody's like, okay, I just want an ATM. What do I do now? Right. So what are some ideas for how to turn this into a money maker for them? Who do they talk to?
Well, they'll talk to, you met Patrick yesterday, and they'll talk to Patrick and his team, Miriam, and some of the office people in the office, corporate office, and they will actually walk them through everything step by step, even to help them figure out where they're going to put the machine. Placement is very important. If you had it in a grocery store right now, that would probably be a gold mine, because I know all the ones that are in grocery stores that we have that I'm looking at online right now are just banking every day. We had another one do like 1625 on one machine today. So, are they doing it? Yes. It's just, we want to work with them on placement. Once we have the placement, then we'll work with them on showing them how to set up their own exchange, how to get their own account, how to get into Coin One, and all the different, the 2 different accounts that they will need. If they don't have a merchant account, if they don't have a business license, because this is a business, you have to keep in mind, this is a real opportunity to own your own business. And I was talking to a guy last night. He has a machine in one of the stadiums. Of course, now it's not doing very well, but you can imagine when they're having games and the stadiums open back up, hopefully the sports will, a lot of things are going to change, man. So hopefully all this stuff will.
And Joff, is there training available for these ATMs and how they all work? Is like a video series or PDF, or how's the training work?
We have both, Travis. We have where you can go in and do live training with us. We'll sit down with you and do a Zoom and share screen and video chat if we need to see anything. We have online customer support that's 24/7. So if there's something, we even have the machine will send you a SMS text message if it's off, or if it needs to, you need to go clear the bills, or if someone even opened the door on the machine, it'll send you a message. So, it's really high tech. Our software and our software company's done an amazing job.
All right, well, let's give this thing away. We have a randomizer here. All the names have been loaded into this randomizer. And once I click start, I also will control the stop. I don't know the names that are in here. If you're a VIP, your name is in here 5 times instead of the 1. And Joff, you're going to tell me when to stop, and I'm going to react, and I'm going to hit stop on it, and that is going to be our winner.
You think I should, or should Travis and I go? Let's. What do you think, Travis? You want to help me out, or?
Hey man, you're the boss, man. Let's let you handle it. This is your baby.
Stop,
all right,
and I'll click.
All right.
It. So
how about that? You start it. I'll close my eyes and I'll tell you to stop.
Okay, that sounds good. Look away and let's give it a little bit here. Let's let the names shuffle. They're going now. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Meanwhile, while all these names are showing up there, just want to remind you guys, stick around for a moment, because we're going to tell you what's coming tomorrow. And we've actually got a lot of prizes that we're going to give away tomorrow beyond the Cryptomatic ATMs. So Joff, close your eyes.
What about that after party too? Don't forget the after party.
Oh yeah, the after party happens at 10 o'clock Eastern, and we'll have a link for our VIPs for that. It's going to be off the chain, not to be confused with the Pompcast.
Okay,
right,
so
brother.
let me look away. I'm going to look over here, and I'm going to count to 3, and you stop it. 1, 2, 3.
There we go. The winner is Emma Howard.
Congratulations, Emma Howard.
Emma Howard, you have won the first Cryptomatic ATM. Are we gonna email her then, because we've got her registration information? we'll reach out.
Correct.
Let her know.
We'll reach out to her. If she doesn't get back to us within 24 hours, then we're going to do it again tomorrow. We might be doing it twice.
Are you going to be emailing her? Let her know.
Yes,
Yeah.
Emma Howard will be get an email. I don't think if she's not present, we'll give her 24 hours. If anybody knows Emma Howard, you might reach out to her and say, hey, you need to watch this podcast today. You need to watch the Bad Crypto Guys because they called your name.
I'm going to ask our producer to find Emma's email on the registration. We'll make sure and get that to you so that you can reach out to her. Joff, thanks so much, dude. We'll look forward to hearing your talk tomorrow about ATMs and drawing another winner.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you very much. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Congratulations, Emma.
Yeah, so good.
Indeed.
Okay, so a couple things to wrap up here tonight. Tomorrow is the last day of the conference, day 5. And Travis, have we got a list or have we got a list?
So tomorrow, as I say, the final day of the conference, and we are starting off with a bang. We have some guy named John McAfee. I'm not sure. Maboud Magadam, who is the CEO, creator of Everpedia and Genius.com, Miko Matsumura, Oz Sultan, and this rapper guy named Akon.
Never heard of him.
Never. Joff Paradise will be back on. And then another guy, some guy named Don Tapscott's going to be on tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. I cannot imagine a better closing keynote than to hear from Don Tapscott, who many of us, consider just that, an elder member in blockchain because he has introduced so many people to the concept of blockchain. That's all going to get started. It's 6:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, and we're going to go to 10 o'clock, maybe a little later. And after that, the biggest virtual after party for all the VIPs, for our sponsors, for our influencers, for our speakers, and you can still attend. You can go get a ticket right now at virtualblockchainweek.com. It's $97, and that will get you the VIP upgrade. Plus, if you do it before we draw the contest tomorrow, you get 5 entries instead of 1 to win the various things that we're giving away, and 50% of the ticket price is going to go directly to Binance charity. In fact, let me go ahead and pull that up and we could talk once more about their campaign. This is it right here, Crypto Against COVID. Let me refresh it so we can get the latest numbers on the board here and see. Come on, web. There we go. So far, an undefined amount. No, it's going to load. It's just still loading. There we go. $3.9 million in crypto has been donated to Crypto Against COVID. And we would really appreciate it if you guys would click on this donate button here and make a donation. You can make in a bunch of different cryptos, and it's all public. Now you can be anonymous, but the record here, the ledger is public. And this is how to bring accountability to charity. I thought you'd have some words there, Travis.
Yeah, it's a great system, and we were very blessed to have CZ on yesterday. We had Mr. Wynn, Jared Wynn, on, who is the SVP of Binance Charity there, and it's great to know exactly where the money is going and having transparency, which to me seems like something charities should have had long ago, right?
Yeah.
And
let's get them to 4 million. Come on, let's make the donations. Either go direct and donate or buy the VIP ticket and party with us tomorrow night. It's going to be amazing. But right now, as we close down, our sponsor Coin Genius is hosting a public after party. This after party is going to be open to everybody. You don't have to be a VIP. I don't know what they're doing there. I just know that they're throwing a bash. They're inviting you to come, and the URL for this is VBW20/Coin Genius Party. That's where you can find that, VBW20.com/Coin Genius Party, or you can go to the agenda on virtualblockchainweek.com and find it linked right there.
Very good. Yep. So let's go. We're gonna go network and go chat with some folks and have some fun, friendly times. I guess if you want, it has an open bar as long as you have some alcohol at your house.
Well, I tried to play this video out yesterday, ended up sharing my whole screen, so I'm going to try once more. We'll catch you all tomorrow. Stay bad.
Welcome to Bad Crypto, badcryptopodcast.com. We're talking everything blockchain and the shit coins that you own. What news will get you wrecked? What coins are gonna moon? Just sit back and hold on. You'll get that Lambo soon. Bad Crypto Podcast. Check us out at badcryptopodcast.com.